of today, so that we can be able to sort out all these problems. And Mr. Speaker, I just want finally to remind everyone that this House has not been intransigent in this impasse. In fact, I remember the Speaker of this House directing the Council of Governors that we are prepared to have a meeting as the leadership of this House with the leadership of the Council of Governors to iron out any concerns that they have. And the only condition was you cannot suspend a constitutional provision. All they needed to do is to attend those meetings for that week, and then we would have the meeting. But, Honorable Speaker, we cannot countenance a situation where somebody sitting somewhere can suspend a constitutional imperative. It is something we cannot do. So, I am hoping that the other governors will follow. And I've spoken to the chair of the County Public Accounts. I don't see him in the House today, but he's on his way. The vice chair is here. We are ready to issue a schedule as soon as tomorrow for people to come and account for the monies that they have done what? They have been given as county governors. And immediately that process is going on, we can come to this House and say, now, as the leadership, if they want to sit with you, the Speaker, if they don't like Sifuna's face, it's fine. This is not about Sifuna. And I have said and I've repeated here, there is no senator here who cannot do the job that Sifuna does. That's the reason why all of us were elected here. So if Sifuna's face at County Public Accounts Committee is somewhat unpleasant, we can try Senator Mundiki's face. I don't have a problem. Let us try Senator Joyce Korir. If they think Senator Joyce Korir will not ask about money being taken from Kipes to go and throw a bash for border borders, they are very mistaken. If they think Senator Korir will allow them to withdraw money from the county coffers so that they can throw a housewarming party like they did in Vihiga, it is not going to be possible. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine? They say we embarrass them there. A governor comes and his records are so bad that when he is asked to read them, he says he has forgotten his glasses at home because he knows if he reads that thing, he's going to be so ridiculous. Speaker, who is embarrassing who? Who is embarrassing who? This House only operates on two things, two reports. The report from the Auditor General is brought to us, and the responses from the governors. Your responses are so bad, you are embarrassed to read them. But somehow, Sifuna is the problem. So, Speaker, I agree with my colleagues who are saying...
Sifuna, would you wish to be informed?
By all means, this is Anjurin Cheke, Elder. He has some information.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, Senator for Nairobi is my good friend. And what has happened before that, the first yesterday, the report, the CPK report, the CPAC report has already departed from those committees. That report is now in this House, Mr. Speaker. So I want my friend, Senator for Nairobi, Senator Sifuna. Already the reports are property of the Senate. They have already departed from the committees. So, Mr. Speaker, what we need to do is to discuss these reports now as the Senate. Whatever we want to do with them, whatever we want to do with the governors, they should appear now before the Senate. They have already left the committees, Mr. Speaker. And if any governor should appear here the way CSCs appear before us, so that we can also interrogate them, we can be able, especially the 29, just a minute, especially the 29 governors who have really shown us the middle finger. We really need to deal with them perpendicularly, Honorable Speaker.
Senator for Nairobi City County, conclude your thoughts, please.
I wanted to conclude, Speaker, by saying that I agree with what the Senator of Meru is suggesting. And in fact, it will be good for the whole country. It will be good for the whole country to see for themselves the sort of amazing things that we are told in County Public Accounts Committee. When you ask somebody to show you what they utilized money on and they tell you that they gave supplements to wild animals who are being given special food, and there's children in this country going hungry, I want them to stand there and be live on all media stations and say those things. Let us see if Sifuna is the problem. Let us see if Sifuna is the problem. So, Speaker, I want to very strongly say.
Order, Senator Fernandez.
I want to say, let us drop this business. We are amenable as a committee. None of this business is the property of any committee. It's the property of the House. So let us adopt the position that has been taken. But until we clear those 29, there is no single coin we are going to vote for to go to the counties. Thank you.
Senator Wakoli. Order, honorable senators.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi hii ambayo leo gavana ameponea chupu-chupu. Ndugu yangu Sifuna, ndugu yangu Eddie walikuwa wamembeba hobela. Gavana miguu ilikuwa imening'inia hewani, iliwachukua maafisa wake kumuokoa mikononi mwa maseneta. Lakini jambo linalosisitizwa Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba mtu hawezi kuoka mkate wake na kaula mwenyewe pasipo kuchungwa na kudadisiwa na tume ama taasisi kama jumba la Senate. Yale viongozi wanataja kuhusiana na usambarishaji ama kupora kwa pesa za kaunti, kupanda miche isiyohesabika, kulisha mifugo ambayo haitunzwi na watu ambao wako timamu mchana katika boma zao. Nimeshangaa Mheshimiwa Spika, sikujua kuna kaunti ambayo inafanya kazi kama idara ya wanyama wa misitu Mheshimiwa Spika, kwamba gavana huyu anawatunza fisi mbweha, anawalisha na anaacha watoto wa Kenya wakipaza vinyo wakipiga mea Mheshimiwa Spika. Sitakubali, na wengi wamesema, na wengi wape Mheshimiwa Spika. Tusiwape shilingi, ndururu ama noti. Wacha wakaukiwe kule kwenye kaunti. Na Wakenya wajue tumewanyima fedha kwa sababu hawawezi kuwajibika na fedha za kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, wengi wamening'inia katika vazi la Mheshimiwa Rais. Mheshimiwa Rais anazindua miradi mingi katika kaunti. Hao magavana kila mahali wamenyosha vidole viwili, lakini mfukoni wamejaza pesa za Wakenya. Kile maseneta wanasema tutapekua mifuko yote, hata kama ni kuwavua nguo tuwavue, ili wabake uchi wa mnyama, ndio tujue wao ni waaminifu. Iwapo wanaweza kuja kwa malango ya Senate kwa kiburi, kedeli, madharau, Mheshimiwa Spika, hawa watu wakikutana na Wakenya usiku watawachinja peupe. Hatupaswi kuwahurumia, hatupaswi kuwapa nafasi yoyote kujidhihirisha kwa kwamba hawa ni watakatifu wakati huu mgumu wa kiuchumi. Na Mheshimiwa, kuna muasisi alisema, ukiona dikteta, ukiona mtu dhalimu, ukiona aliyekuwa mwizi anageuka na kubeba Biblia akisema njooni nyote, ufalme wa mbinguni umekuja, nitawatangulia niwafungulie njia. Mheshimiwa, jipange. Wao ambao wanakuja wakisema jinsi Mheshimiwa Sifuna akisema na Mheshimiwa Seneta Kio, ati kwamba ati niruhusu tu nije kama Nikodemo. Mheshimiwa Spika, tusiwakubali. Waje tu mchana jinsi wanavyopora mchana, na sisi tuwanywe mchana kwa sheria za jumba la Senate. Naomba niungane na wengine, hatuwapi pesa, lazima wakamatwe. Na nimeshukuru Mheshimiwa kiongozi wa wengi, kwa mara ya kwanza Wakenya wamejua katiba inawaruhusu kukamata wezi na kuwakabidhi mikononi mwa taasisi za dola. Wakenya popote mlipo, mkiona hawa magavana, tusaidieni, muwakamate, muwapeleke katika kituo cha polisi kilicho karibu. Asante sana na Mungu awalinde. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Now, Majority Leader, honorable senators, if you look at your supplementary order paper, there is a motion that you will have to speak to it, and it touches on the matters that you want to speak. Senator Kavindu, there is a whole motion that awaits you. So that contribution you want to make now, reserve it to be made in that particular motion. Majority Leader, you wanted to tap the wisdom of your colleagues. I hope you are now wiser than it started. You may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleagues because this is not a simple matter. Mr. Speaker,
Senator Kavindu, the bill has not been moved. So proceed, Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I was saying this is a very serious matter, and these are moments that call for serious introspection. As a House, Mr. Speaker, why I requested that I be advised by my colleagues is because this is not just an issue about one or two governors. Mr. Speaker, when you have governors seated in Kilifi, enjoying expensive drinks, and perhaps doing things that you cannot mention even on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, then incite themselves that they shall cease appearing before the House of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, that is not a matter to be treated lightly. That is why I have been very clear from day one, Mr. Speaker, that if there is a matter that has touched the raw nerve of this House, it is this issue of the collective non-appearance by governors before the House of Parliament, Mr. Speaker. And I want to tell the governors, it doesn't matter which office you seek intervention from, and they know what I mean, Mr. Speaker. This is something that is non-negotiable for us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if my colleagues feel that a continued conversation on the division of revenue undermine our collective position of principle that respect to the constitutional order in this country is not something that is subject for debate, Mr. Speaker, then I defer to the wisdom of the House. I request, Mr. Speaker, that I be granted the opportunity to defer the moving of this bill until a later date, Mr. Speaker.
It is so deferred. Now, Honorable Senators, there is a supplementary order paper, which I believe has been posted in your gadgets. The chair will make a communication in that regard. Don't worry about it. Order, Honorable Senators, before I ask the clerk to call the next order, I have this communication to make. Senator Eddy and Senator for Kitui, kindly take your seat. Now, Honorable Senators, as you have witnessed, the conduct of Senator for Wajir County was grossly disorderly within the meaning of Standing Order 122(1)J. In this regard, I invoke the provisions of Standing Order 122(2)A, which provides that a senator who commits an act of gross disorderly conduct on the first occasion, that senator shall be suspended from the presence of Parliament for a maximum of 3 sitting days, including the day of the suspension. The senator for Wajir is hereby suspended for 3 consecutive days, including today. Next order. Now, I want to believe that you are in receipt of the supplementary order paper. Senator Ledama, you may proceed to give notice of a motion.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to give notice of a motion, implementation of recommendation by Select Committee of County Public Accounts and County Public Investment and Special Funds on Auditor General Report for financial year 2024-2025. Mr. Speaker, aware that Article 96(1) and 3 of the Constitution mandates the Senate to represent counties, protect their interests, and oversee national revenues allocated to county governments, and that Article 2298 and the Public Audit Act require Parliament to debate audit reports and act within 3 months. Concerned that, despite repeated invitations and summons, 15 county governors define the Select Committee on CPAC and CPISF by refusing to appear and answer for financial management and accountability failures in the Auditor General Report for financial year 2024-2025 reports. Appreciating that CPAC and CPIC diligently interrogated the Auditor General issues, filed reports within constitutional timelines, and secured Senate approval on the 31st March of 2026. Noting that urgent needs for rigorous follow-up on these recommendations and ongoing Senate oversight of implementation. Now, therefore, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding Standing Order number 225, the Senate resolve that the Select Committee on CPAC and CPIC immediately track implementation of the Senate-approved recommendations and table monthly progress report detailing compliance status. 2, fast-track the next audit cycle by prioritizing Auditor General reports and county financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2026, tabling committee reports promptly to enable thorough senatorial scrutiny. Number 3, enforce fiduciary accountability by resummoning non-compliant county governors, recommending sanctions for defiance, including budget withholding under Article 229, and escalating unresolved cases to the Controller of Budget, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, or Director of Public Prosecution as appropriate. Number 4, collaborate with oversight bodies, that is the Controller of Budget, ESCC, and the DPP, to impose consequences under Chapter 6, Leadership and Integrity, for governors' failure to appear, including contempt charges, suspensions of county equitable share, personal liability for losses, and disqualification from future electoral candidacies.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, motion, implementation of the recommendations by select committees on county public accounts and county public investments and special funds on the Auditor General reports for the financial year 2024-2025.
Senator Lenda Molekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion, just open. On the implementations of the recommendations by select committees of county public accounts and county public investment and special funds on Auditor General report for financial year 2024-2025. Mr. Speaker, aware that Article 96, 1 and 3 of the Constitution mandates the Senate to represent counties, protect their interests and oversee national revenue allocated to county governments, and that Article 2298 and the public audit requires Parliament to debate audit reports and act within 3 months, concerned that despite repeated invitations and summons, 15 county governors defied the Select Committee on CPAC and CPIC by refusing to appear and answer the financial mismanagement and accountability failures in the Auditor General financial year 2024-2025, appreciating that CPAC and CPIC diligently interrogated the Auditor General issues, file reports within constitutional timeline, and secure Senate approval on March 31, 2026. Noting the urgency or the urgent need for rigorous follow-up on this recommendation and ongoing Senate oversight of implementation. Now, therefore, notwithstanding Standing Order 225, the Senate resolved that the Select Committee on CPAC and CPIC immediately, 1, track implementation of the Senate-approved recommendations and table monthly progress reports detailing compliance status. 2, fast-track the next audit cycle by prioritizing Auditor General reports on county financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2026, tabling committee reports promptly to enable thorough senatorial scrutiny. Number 3, enforcing fiduciary accountability by resummoning non-compliant county governors, immediately recommending sanctions for defiance, including budget withholding under Article 229, and escalating unresolved cases to the Control of Budget, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, or the Director of Public Prosecution as appropriate. Number 4, collaborate with oversight bodies, Control of Budget, ESCC, and the DPP to impose consequences under Chapter 6, the leadership and integrity, for governors' failure to appear, including contempt charges, suspensions of county equitable share, personal liability for losses, and disqualification from future electoral candidacy. Mr. Speaker, this issue where the governors have collectively boycotted the Senate, oversight is a bizarre assault on accountability. Mr. Speaker, all of us are brought here by the citizens of Kenya. Kenyans expect us to be able to report back to them on the issues of accountability. What we have been witnessing, Mr. Speaker, sir, is arrogance and total misunderstanding and misinterpretation of the Constitution and also laws that governs devolution. All of us here, Mr. Speaker, come here on a daily basis to be able to pass legislations that affect counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, a few minutes ago, we requested the majority leader to hold the business of sending money to counties so that we can be able to, first of all, put a check mark on the issues of accountability. Every distinguished senator who has spoken here has spoken about arrogance. Mr. Speaker, these are young men and women who, before they became governors, were living in apartments. Some of them had small little huts that they called their homes. But today, Mr. Speaker, they live in manicured mansions. They drive $200,000 or $300,000 cars, mismanaging money. They traverse the entire country with helicopters. But when they are called to account for the money, they cannot. Mr. Speaker, this Senate only has this opportunity. And this is the time, Mr. Speaker, that I want each one of us here to be able to remember the powers that the citizens of Kenya donated to them to be able to ensure fiduciary responsibility. When you look at the citizens of Nairobi as an example, Mr. Speaker, there are over 800,000 who sent the distinguished senator of Nairobi, Edwin Watenya Sifuna, here to represent their interests. When you look at the citizens of Narok, there are over 1.5 million who sent me here to be able to represent their interests. Nairobi, there are over 4 million, but those who elected the distinguished senator were about 800. Why do we go tell these people when the one person who has been tasked with the fiduciary responsibility failed to come to account for that money? You know, Mr. Speaker, this issue of governors forgetting that leadership is a sacred trust which has been bestowed by the people is something that we must remind them on a daily basis. And this is the occasion for each one of us here to be able to take their public audit records, they look at their Auditor General records in the executive, look at the special funds account to see how money is being utilized in the counties. It is very sad, Mr. Speaker, that governors are traversing this great country called Kenya with helicopters. Yet our people cannot be able to get their goods from the market, from their farms to the market. And the governors do not even know that those roads are dilapidated. So, Mr. Speaker, this is an opportunity. And I want to speak to my colleagues that today it doesn't matter whether we spend the night here, we burn the midnight oil, we must resolve to demand accountability from these, I don't even know whether to call them honorable anymore, 47 governors who has been tasked with the fiduciary responsibility. Mr. Speaker, one of my biggest pet peeves is that most of those governors do not even understand the Public Finance Management Act. And those people who work under them do not understand the consequences, intended and unintended, that will befall when they cannot account, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to my colleagues who are in those committees, narrating, demonstrating clearly the embarrassment that they are faced with when they are trying to analyze the documents that are presented by these county governors. And it begs the question, is it an issue of just rewarding mediocrity and ignoring meritocracy when it comes to the issue of employment, that you decide I'm going to employ my relative to become the CC Finance, yet they don't even qualify to be able to hold that docket? Or is it that we don't really give a hoot in hell about this country? Mr. Speaker, today, for the sake of the future generation, I want to call upon all senators to be able to remember that the responsibility that you have been tasked with is to ensure accountability. Nothing else, Mr. Speaker. You know, there are a lot of stories that we hear. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record and state here that when the governors made that statement, I did speak to the chair of COG. I spoke to him myself. And he said to me, there are so many issues that the governors were raising regarding the manner, the way they were treated. But what I deduced from my entire 30-minute conversation with my friend, the governor of Wajir, was that the issue was about respect. And in fact, I told him, my brother, smell the coffee. The moment you decide to put yourself out there to become a leader, the one thing that is required of you is to grow thick skin. If you cannot grow thick skin, you might as well just resign and go home and take care of the camels. All of us on a daily basis are insulted, Mr. Speaker. In fact, today, if you open your social media page, you will hear all manner of things that are being said. If I was to listen to that, Mr. Speaker, my blood pressure would be at 300 over 120 or 150. And I'll be sent to the morgue. But I remind myself that I am here And the fact that I put myself out there to be scrutinized, all those insults will come. So I want us to divorce the notion that this so-called Council of Governors collectively can be able to support one individual. Mr. Speaker, when my brother Sifuna walked in, he narrated to me the way my other brother took off, you know, and I wondered what kind of a warrior my brother is to run off and take off instead of facing the consequences. Mr. Speaker, I would have stood there and faced the consequences, Mr. Speaker. You know, the challenge we have, Mr. Speaker, is the issue that we forget what, Mr. Speaker, the problem with us, Mr. Speaker, is that we forget that.
No, honorable senators, Senator Olekina Ombiand in silence, total silence. This is a matter of national importance.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your protection. Mr. Speaker, let me not forget the point that I wanted to raise, which is a very important point. Mr. Speaker, all of us, and I hope that the 47 or 67 men and women who are sitting here will never forget that power is transient. Today you are powerful, the most powerful person on earth. Tomorrow you are not. When you are tasked with a fiduciary responsibility, the first thing you need to do is to thank your God for having put you there. Because imagine, Nairobi County as an example. There are so many other Kenyans who would have become a governor of Nairobi. But God put you there. But instead of you adhering to the fiduciary responsibility and accounting and being ready to account, you are growing bigger balls than you can ever carry. Mr. Speaker, this is one of the biggest bizarre, experience that I've experienced personally. Seeing, the way people behave. It's as if they will remain as governors forever. Mr. Speaker, this is a democracy. The moment we allowed ourselves to subscribe to the Constitution, we remember very well that we are limited. There is a statute of limitation. You can only be a governor for 10 years. It will be embarrassing, Mr. Speaker, when you retire and you go and sit down in your manicured mansion, you will not even get a single citizen visiting you. Because when you were in power, what you did was to subject them to a sentence of poverty, where when they go to their hospital, they are not drugged. They cannot even walk to the market because there are potholes. There's no vehicle that agrees to go to that road. And even the borders don't even want to go there. And even citizens themselves, when they are walking, they can barely find an escape to be able to go to the market. So, Mr. Speaker, today, what we are witnessing from, in fact, in the last 2 days, is just political theatric, which must come to an end. And this is why it is important that we remind ourselves, because all of us are here, and we are guided by the rule of law. The Constitution. I've alluded to Article 96, which gives us the mandate to oversight these counties and protect the interests of the county. Today, Mr. Speaker, this motion has been brought for us to be able to protect the interests of our counties by demanding accountability. That is issue number one. Issue number two, Mr. Speaker, I heard my good friend, the IG of police, saying to my good committee of PAC that show me, just tell me when you want me to be able to bring that governor here, and I shall bring. Mr. Speaker, I am surprised that what I witnessed were my good friends, the police, outside Nairobi City Hall. And then the next day, I see the governor of Nairobi taking pictures, going with a cameraman taking pictures. What happened, Mr. Speaker, to the IG of police? And I'm going to call him after this and ask him, Ero, what happened to you? You said that you will be able to bring this gentleman here. What happened? You chickened out or what? What is the biggest problem? You know, the problem, Mr. Speaker, is that all of us, and I'm not saying that I'm a saint, but sometimes we have to remember that we have a fiduciary responsibility. It is wrong, Mr. Speaker, for the IG or police not to deliver on what they promised under oath when they appeared before the committee. It is wrong, Mr. Speaker, for me to witness my good friend, Senator Governor Orengo, coming in, and he was among the first person. Mr. Speaker, I sat here with Orengo next to him. He taught me, he guided me very well on the importance of respecting the rule of law. And when he appeared, I was shocked, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand what it takes when you become a governor. All of a sudden, you forget that you are supposed to be accountable. Mr. Speaker, I think it's about time that we ask ourselves whether this constitution is the right constitution. Because, Mr. Speaker, if I was the president of Kenya today, I will rule this country with an iron fist and ensure that there's proper accountability. We cannot answer to our citizens in the country who are crying, who do not have medicines, who cannot be able to support themselves, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to end with the following 5 points, which are very, very key. That it behooves all of us here to be able to hold our county governors accountable. I want to request ESCC, because recently I met with the ODPP, and the ODPP told me I cannot do anything without ESCC. Either we agree to collapse these two entities and make them one because of the issue of prosecutory powers, or define, when it comes to the issue of accountability, give ESCC prosecutory powers. Mr. Speaker, point number two, and this is something that all of us must be able to think today. When you look at other jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker, there are so many appropriations acts. Maybe it's about time that in this country, and particularly, either we amend the Constitution so that when we are moving the budgets, the Senate plays a critical role in terms of appropriations, such that we've got appropriations bills that will proceed whether there's accountability or not. This issue of collapsing all appropriation into one form of budget is what is taking us back to the dogs. Because the county knows that even though we fight so hard and say that we will stop money from going, the Constitution bars, it limits the period to 3 months. So we need to rethink the issue of Appropriations Act in this country. Number two, Mr. Speaker, we need to also think generally, because today we are about to discuss the issue of division revenue. We need to relook at Article 223 of the Constitution of Kenya when it comes into the issue of money being spent without approval of Parliament. It is about time that we take this opportunity, distinguished senators from both sides of the aisle, to be able to redefine this country for future generations. Look at the Constitution, see the loopholes which are there, which these guys are easily able to bypass for them to be able to get what they want. If today, and I want to remind you, this is my third point, if today, Mr. Speaker, we agree to discuss the division of revenue, the moment we discuss the division of revenue and we pass it, done. It goes to the National Assembly, and from the National Assembly, it proceeds for the money to go. And the Constitution is very clear. Read Article 219. A share of revenue of a county shall not be delayed. It has to be released. But that only comes in after we have passed this issue of the division of revenue. So my plea to all of us is that we stop this debate on division of revenue until all county governors have appeared before the Senate to be able to respond to the queries that has been asked. Point number 4, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, it is imperative that these oversight bodies the Auditor General, ESCC, and ODPP work together, Mr. Speaker. It is embarrassing that every time you speak to ESCC, they tell you, oh, there's nothing we can do. Or what we are witnessing, a charade of cases being dropped from the high courts because there was the investigation was not carried out properly. This is what is encouraging this issue of corruption. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, this House must send an unmistakable message that accountability is non-negotiable. The Senate powers of the past must be exercised, and this is the opportunity that we have. Without this opportunity, I don't know how to spell it out. Maybe I'll speak in Swahili and Kimasai for you to understand. This is the only opportunity that we have to be able to demand accountability. With all those so many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Majority Leader to second.
Before the Majority Leader seconds, I want to make this communication of the visiting members of Maendeleo ya Wanawake from the constituency in Homa Bay County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of a visiting delegation of members of Maendeleo ya Wanawake from the constituency in Homa Bay County. The delegation is in the Senate on a courtesy call to Senator Beatrice Ogora MP. Honorable Senators, in our short tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Senator Beatrice Ogora, in 1 minute, kindly welcome the visitors so that we can proceed to the seconding of the motion.
That I come forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving the great women of Ndewa constituency of Homa Bay County the opportunity to come to the Speaker's Gallery. Honorable Speaker, the illustrious women that are here this afternoon are women of this country who believe in this country going forward. And Honorable Speaker, these are women who believe in the leadership of even this House, and that is why they have been patient here. I want to recognize that these are great leaders from my constituency, led by Councillor Dorcas Matunga, who was the chair of the County Council of Homa Bay then, before the coming of the counties. We have Councillor Dorcas Atito, we have Councillor Caroline Oguta, we have the chairperson Grace Awidi, Roslyn Ogada, Doris Obondo, Margaret Odongi, Siprosa Apopo, Millicent Anyango, Helida Otieno, and Rusula Odida. Honorable Speaker, these are women who come from all the 7 wards of my constituency, and I have a lot of relation with them, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my late father taught me something that was very wise, that has kept me in this country going, that we must be humble at the mountaintop, that we must be strong at the valleys. In between, you have to have faith. And Honorable Speaker, the women you see today are women we have walked with in the valley, strong together. And so I celebrate them and I welcome them to the Senate, and I still believe in you, and I'm one of you, and I'm proud of you, and the Speaker equally is proud of you. Honorable Speaker, if you allow, I want also to welcome them and give a welcoming remark from my senator, Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang, who equally believes in you and I know you believe in him. And together with Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang, and the party leader, who is a member of this house, a man who believes in power, I can assure you, the great women of Ndewa, that we are still going forward to Singapore with power. Honorable Speaker, I donate 30 seconds to Senator Eddie Okech on behalf of Senator Moses Kajwang to welcome
Beatrice
them.
Ogora.
Thank you, and come again. Thank you, Honorable
Senator
Speaker.
Beatrice Ogora. Only one thing that I can do as the chair is to recognize the chair of the delegation to stand up so that the Senate can recognize the chair of the delegation. You mentioned her name?
Heading the delegation.
Sorry, mention her name?
Grace
Yes,
Awidi,
yes,
who
yes.
is the chair.
That's good enough. Thank you very much, Chair. I also, the chair of this session believes in you. Gracious Rendes from your constituency. And I was in Diwa some years back when the daughter to Senator Kiraitu was married in Diwa. Also the member of parliament for South Mentwe represented as the Senate, as the member of parliament. Also the daughter is married in Diwa constituency. So Diwa are my in-laws, so I didn't recognize them. They know in person, so I don't want to dilute my recognition to them with the Senator Okech. So that is good enough. So let me get the majority leader to second the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't know the people of Diwa are your in-laws. You know, Senator Eddie has been trying to catch your attention. So I was wondering whether, if there is in-laws, Mr. Speaker, then we can allow him to talk. But, Mr. Speaker, then how can we allow a bachelor to address distinguished... Mr. Speaker.
In the proceed and second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This motion has generated a lot of interest, so therefore it has really saved time.
Mr. Speaker, this is a very important motion brought by my colleague, Senator Ledama, which every senator that minds the affairs of this House and values devolution should take time to speak to, but not just speak to, reflect about it and what it means for this House. Mr. Speaker, we must first begin by asking the question, how did we find ourselves here? We found ourselves here, Mr. Speaker, and I'll repeat for the 18th time, because governors went on a whirlwind trip in Kilifi, and while they were enjoying whatever they were enjoying, incited themselves and said that there is a committee of the Senate that is not treating us with the dignity that we deserve. We feel they are unkind to us, and so many other things that they have mentioned. And they came with the silliest ideas that has ever left the minds of Council of Governors, that they shall not appear before the County Public Accounts Committee. And since that particular day, things have not been okay, Mr. Speaker. I read it for what it is since that particular day, Mr. Speaker, that this is a direct attack to the very heart and soul of the Senate. And as leader of majority, Mr. Speaker, I have been fairly consistent on this matter, perhaps more than anything else, Mr. Speaker, that this is not something that we can even countenance, Mr. Speaker. Because, unfortunately, for some of us, for the little years that we have lived on this earth, the only institution that we've had the very rare opportunity to infuse our thoughts and share in the philosophy of what it will become in years to come by, it is this House of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. And some of us are not in a hurry to leave this House, so long as the people continue to have the trust and the will to allow us to come into this House, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, we must guard this institution by everything that we believe in. Mr. Speaker, when the Council of Governors raised the issues that they raised, we responded like diligent citizens are expected to do. We mentioned to them and said, while we hear what you're saying, that is not the procedure. Appearance before a parliamentary committee is not a buffet, Mr. Speaker, where you pick what you like and you leave what you don't like, Mr. Speaker. This is a mandatory exercise to which you must undertake so long as you interact with public resources, Mr. Speaker. And there is sufficient backing constitutionally, Mr. Speaker, edits of law, Mr. Speaker, and even advisories from the highest courts of the land, Mr. Speaker. Because this is not the first time that we are finding ourselves here. Governors have even attempted to go all the way to the Supreme Court. It took the judges of the Supreme Court to remind them that appearance before the Senate, Mr. Speaker, is mandatory and expected of any individual that interacts with public resources, Mr. Speaker. And so we responded in kind and said, good people, we don't know what it is that you feel so much offended by our colleagues who serve in County Public Accounts Committee, but be that as it may, as a principle, we cannot allow you to select which committee of the House you appear before. I have spoken more than 5 or close to 10 times to none other than including the chair of the Council of Governors, my good friend Governor Ahmed. And I have told him that there is a principle that I'm willing to die for. We cannot allow any individual, Mr. Speaker, to dictate and direct the operations of this House other than the decisions that are made on the presence of this House. And therefore we asked our colleagues, governors, that come, appear, respond to the queries, then later on present your petition to the leadership of the House. We will listen to you. Many times people do this. Mr. Speaker, for your information, every Wednesday morning, just like today, we have cabinet secretaries appearing before this House. Mr. Speaker, there are days in which for one reason or the other, they are not able to appear. And they send in letters. Sometimes even those documents come in fairly late. But because we are leaders and we understand the demands of the high office that many of them hold, Mr. Speaker, we grant them the latitude. Therefore, we are not an obstinate institution. Nobody can accuse us, Mr. Speaker, that we are unreasonable in this exercise. We told our colleagues, appear, then we will have this conversation. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, some of them cheekily saw a silver lining and an opportunity for them. And I suspect, dear colleagues, that the 29 governors who chose not to appear are actually the originators of this silly idea of non-appearance, Mr. Speaker. And the reason why they came up with that idea is because the Auditor General did a fantastic job in the audit process of 2024-2025, insofar as exposing all the risks, exposing all the messes that are in our county governments, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, many of them saw this as the perfect opportunity to run away from accountability. And they use this excuse saying, oh, we had a collegiate agreement. Mr. Speaker, those are the gentlemen and the ladies, Mr. Speaker, that incited their colleagues and said, we shall not appear because they knew what awaited them. Each of our colleagues that serves in that committee, together with us that attend every time a governor from the counties that we represent in this House are appearing, Mr. Speaker, we're waiting for the opportunity to listen to county governors give an explanation of how they have interacted with public resources. I said here yesterday, Mr. Speaker, that some of us believe in doing oversight differently. For all the years that I have served as a senator, in fact, to the detriment sometimes of my own political career, Mr. Speaker, I avoid discussing public finances and audit queries, Mr. Speaker, in public gatherings in my county. I try and rise above board. Many times, in fact, people submit or observe that as a weakness. But I have always known that there is granted to me a premium platform here in Parliament where the governor comes, appears, and there are questions based on a document that we didn't originate as a Senate. The Senate does not audit county governments. We only respond to issues that are raised by auditors, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we were waiting for this perfect opportunity. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, what happened happened. This matter is now considered settled, in my humble opinion. Because if you don't respond to queries that you have been asked, it simply means you agree with the findings of the Auditor General. And that is a report that we passed yesterday at 6:30, Mr. Speaker. It is now upon the various state agencies, Mr. Speaker, and if you read Resolution 4 of this motion, Mr. Speaker, that the Senate resolves to actually collaborate with other institutions of oversight the Control of Budget, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the DPP. The only one that we forgot to add, Mr. Speaker, is the judiciary. Because the judiciary is also part and parcel of the institutions of oversight, Mr. Speaker. I personally believe that the only day, Mr. Speaker, for which this madness that exists in our county will come to a stop is the day governors will get pictures of one of their colleagues, Mr. Speaker, getting fit to dress in those prison uniforms. Mr. Speaker, that is the day people will realize that this is not a matter of child's play, Mr. Speaker. But so long as people know they can go to the ESCC, they explain themselves. If it moves to the DPP, you can have some political interference with it. Once it gets to the court, you understand how all these things happen, Mr. Speaker? You are not a stranger in Kenya. Therefore, we need to call upon all these institutions of oversight that we must work together to protect public resources. Devolution is so premium and dear to the people of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Devolution is perhaps the only best gift that the people of Kenya gifted themselves in 60 years since independence. It's the only meaningful thing that many parts of this country, perhaps the remotest parts of this country, the closest thing that they interact to government services is the little resources that we send to them, Mr. Speaker. And so long as we continue to read the reports that are being presented before us, Mr. Speaker, you must be worried. Mr. Speaker, we must get concerned. And I say this as somebody who has served in this house for quite a long time. When we came here in the first Senate, Mr. Speaker, I don't recall reading the kind of absurd audit reports as what I'm reading today. Mr. Speaker, in the first Senate, we only used to joke every afternoon, Senator Mazai will remember, about the golden fingerlings of Tharaka Nithi, where Governor Rangwa, Mr. Speaker, if you recall that particular moment, he is rumored to have bought fingerlings in somewhere, Mr. Speaker, worth millions of shillings. And when the auditors visited the county, he directed them to the river. I don't know what was the name of the river. If the senator for Tharaka Nithi was here and told them, please go and check if the fish are still there. And perhaps the non-carcinogenic wheelbarrows of Bungoma. And those remains to be the only absurd things that you'd hear during that first 5-year cycle. And when we came hard on oversight, the next phase, Mr. Speaker, you could see that governors were beginning to take shape. They were beginning to behave as expected, Mr. Speaker, of people interacting with public resources. And so many of the absurd things that you'd seen in the previous years, these are matters that we had forgotten. But to read this report that is being presented to us today, Mr. Speaker, where you're being told that there are governors that are feeding wild animals, and when auditors visiting them, they're saying go and interact and check how many kgs of meat they fed on, Mr. Speaker. That there are people hosting house parties using public resources, Mr. Speaker. That there is diversion of funds, wanton disregard, Mr. Speaker, to the provisions of public finance, Mr. Speaker. It is something that must concern us. Yet, look at how the governors are behaving when they come before these committees. That somebody can easily joke and say, I've forgotten my reading glasses. Mr. Speaker, surely we cannot allow this kind of nonsense to continue. Much as we know, Mr. Speaker, that we engage each other as leaders level, surely the kind of conduct, and these are the things that we are waiting to raise, because I believe at some point we will get that opportunity where we will sit down with the Council of Governors and they'll say these are the issues that we have. And we'll also tell them that these are the very issues that we equally have with you people. Do they speak to themselves as colleagues? Do they reason together and tell each other that this is not expected of you as a county governor? In the things that when you come before the Senate, you must prepare well. You must at least know a few basic issues. I have seen governors, Mr. Speaker, who the only response that they give to their Committee of Public Accounts Committee is to turn in the chair and say, oh, ask that one, ask this one, ask the other one. Completely clueless, Mr. Speaker, on the operations in their own county. They cannot even explain, Mr. Speaker, very basic issues. Yet, they want to point fingers at Public Accounts Committee and say, oh, this and that has been done, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, that meeting we are looking forward to. And our colleagues in leadership, the governor should not imagine for any minute that the Senate is not interested in listening to their concerns. We equally have questions that we want to ask you. Even just at the very least, leader to leader level, to find out from you whether you are not equally concerned the way the rest of the country is. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, because I know so many of our colleagues want to say something on this matter, and I can see time is far much spent, I wouldn't wish to take a lot of time. I'd wish to agree with the findings of this motion, particularly on resolution number 4, on collaborating with the agencies of oversight to follow through with what we passed yesterday in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, so that should it ever appear in the mind of any governor in future to choose not to appear before Senate, they will think twice about it, Mr. Speaker. This should serve as a lesson to the 29 governors, Mr. Speaker. You know, and we are just talking about 29 governors. I wish I had the list, Mr. Speaker, because up to now, I feel the citizens of this country are yet to appreciate. Who are these people that we are talking about, Mr. Speaker? We must laud the 16 governors who found time to appear, even with all the challenges in the county. At least they submitted themselves to the authority of parliament and said, I know this happened, but I value this. But to the 29 fugitives, Mr. Speaker, the day of reckoning must surely come. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second.
Honourable Senator, Senator Ososi. So, no, freeze. You know you are a seasoned legislator. You don't need to run up and down to sit down. Honourable Senators, I propose the question that aware that Article 96(1) and 3 of the Constitution mandates the Senate to represent the counties, protect their interests, and oversee national revenue allocated to county governments, and that Article 229, Subarticle 8, and the Public Audit Act require Parliament to debate audit reports and act within 3 months. Concerned that despite repeated invitations and summons, 15 county governors defined the select committees on CPAC and CPIC by refusing to appear and answer for financial mismanagement and accountability failures in the Auditor General's financial year 2024-25 reports, appreciating that the CPAC and the CPIC diligently interrogated the Auditor General's issues, found the reports within constitutional timelines, and secured the Senate approval on that 1st March 2026. Noting the urgent need for rigorous follow-up on these recommendations and ongoing Senate oversight of implementation. Now, therefore, notwithstanding Standing Order 2025, the Senate approves that the select committees of CPAC and CPIC immediately 1. Track implementation of the Senate-approved implementations and recommendations and the table monthly progress reports detailing compliance status. 2. Fast-track the next audit cycle by prioritizing Auditor General's reports on county financial statements for the year ending 30th June 2026, tabling committee reports promptly to enable thorough senatorial scrutiny. And 3, enforce fiduciary accountability by disarming non-compliant county governors, recommending senators sanctions for defiance, including budget withholding and Article 229, and escalating unresolved cases to the Control of Budget, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on Director of Public Prosecutions as appropriate. And 4, collaborate with the oversight bodies, Control of Budget, EACC, and DPP to impose consequences under Chapter 6, which is leadership and integrity for governors' failure to appear, including contempt charges, suspension of county equitable share, personal liability for losses, and discrimination from future electoral candidates. out of order? The chair or who is out of order? Proceed, yeah, fine. Proceed, Majority Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Standing Order 111, limitation of debate. The Senate may, on a motion made by any senator in accordance with this standing order, impose a limit in respect to debate on any particular motion or bill by allowing a limited period of time for such debate, or by limiting the time during which senators may speak in such debate, or by imposing such limitation. So I will request, Honorable Speaker, that if we can do 10 minutes, or we can do 5, or we can do 20. You can look at the watch so that we agree, so that many of us can be able to ventilate. Senator Onyonka, I request that you do second.
Senators, the House can really arrive at a consensus because of the interest to limit, maybe to reduce it lower.
On this specific motion of this nature, sponsored by a member, the House didn't resolve that we do 15 minutes each member. But if we agree on any other minutes, time that you might decide, then what is the mood of the House? 10 minutes? Yeah, because most senators would really like to speak on this important matter. So if we have consensus, yes, Senator Sifuna?
Speaker, we had also agreed that those of us who had previously spoken earlier, we don't speak again, so that we allow our colleagues to also speak.
Yeah, sure. So 10 minutes, we don't need to put the question. That is a matter that we have beyond consensus. So next is Senator Omogeni, Congo Omogeni Eric. 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And as much as possible, senators, every senator should use the 10 minutes without any interruptions.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record that I support the motion that has been moved by my good friend, Senator of Narok. Mr. Speaker, the action of the 29 governors who did not appear before this Senate must have consequences, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this House, under Article 125 of the Constitution, has been given powers equivalent to the High Court of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you go to the High Court of Kenya,
The technical team can just give us a better sound.
okay, Mr. Speaker, if you are taken to the High Court of Kenya and accusations are made against you, Mr. Speaker, and you are given an opportunity to defend yourself, if you don't defend yourself, Mr. Speaker, it means that you accept all the accusations that have been leveled against you. Mr. Speaker, see.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes. Mr. Speaker, I take in, Mr. Speaker, that the Office of Auditor General is an office that has been created by our Constitution, Mr. Speaker. This House is a creation of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, and therefore all the governors that did not respond, Mr. Speaker, to the accusations that were leveled against them are guilty as charged, Mr. Speaker. For my count, for example, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, and I want the people of Nyamira to hear this. The governor, Mr. Speaker, collected a total of 606 million shillings for Facilities Improvement Fund, Mr. Speaker. The findings of the auditor, Mr. Speaker, are to the effect that the governor was
All the
only...
senators, can you kindly consult in low tones
Mr. Speaker, the governor
to
was
allow
only
the
able...
Senator for Nyamira to prosecute his 10 minutes?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The governor of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, was only able to account for 549 million shillings, 78,722. Meaning, Mr. Speaker, from the findings of the Auditor General, the governor of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, has stolen or misappropriated from the poor patients who went to hospitals and paid money to be treated a total of 57,528,831, Mr. Speaker. And I'm urging the people of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, to give this governor sleepless nights. They should proceed to court and sue him to refund this money, personally, to the county government accounts of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, because he has not offered any explanation, Mr. Speaker, to this Senate. Mr. Speaker, you will be shocked, Mr. Speaker, that the auditor has made a finding, Mr. Speaker, that the governor of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, has paid a contractor duplicate payments, Mr. Speaker. If you read page 2 of the auditor's report, Mr. Speaker, it says, and I hope the EACC and the DCI are listening, Mr. Speaker, that the county executive irregularly processed and authorized duplicate payments amounting to shillings 8,719,000 to the same contractor for identical scope of work that had already been paid. What better criminals do we have in our counties, Mr. Speaker, than such, Mr. Speaker? It is shocking when you go to the county government of Kitui, Mr. Speaker, that the governor has allocated for personal operations of his office a total of 2.4 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. I can't understand how these governors behave, Mr. Speaker. 2.4 billion, Mr. Speaker, in Kitui could have bought seedlings for farmers, Mr. Speaker. People of Kitui, Mr. Speaker, the governor could have even chosen to buy chicken or goats and give the people of Kitui, Mr. Speaker. I was waiting for the governor of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, to appear before us and to tell us how he transported 33 bodies to a morgue in Kericho, Mr. Speaker. And then when he was asked, Mr. Speaker, he tells the country that I only loaded 13 bodies. Then he says that he cannot understand how 20 others boarded. Since when did dead bodies start boarding a vehicle to take themselves to Kericho? Did you listen, Senator of Kericho? He said he can't understand how 20 bodies boarded a vehicle and ended up in Kericho, in a cemetery in Kericho, Mr. Speaker. Instead of coming to tell us, Mr. Speaker, what steps he's taking as governor of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we have a cemetery. Instead, it does not even appear before this House, Mr. Speaker, to tell us why is he shaming and embarrassing the people of the county of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. Those are the things we could have wanted to hear from these governors, Mr. Speaker. Look at the case of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. How can a governor allocate 15 million for soft drinks? How much does a bottle of soda cost? How much does a bottle of water cost, Mr. Speaker? How many bottles or liters of Fanta or Coca-Cola or Sprite has this governor consumed in one financial year? To tell us that you have spent 15 million shillings when hospitals, Mr. Speaker, in Nyamira have no medicine, Mr. Speaker. Then the auditor is telling us, Mr. Speaker, that the governor of Nyamira has spent 2 million shillings to buy tires, 4 tires for his vehicle. Mr. Speaker, since when did one tire cost 500,000 shillings? Where is that? Where is that, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, and as he's doing this, Mr. Speaker, hospitals in Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, have not been completed and there is no medicine, Mr. Speaker. You read the auditor's report, and I'm not doing politics here. I'm just following what is in the auditor's report, Mr. Speaker. The auditor is telling us, Mr. Speaker, even a construction of an eye hospital in Nyamwetreko, Mr. Speaker, in West Mogrango, Mr. Speaker, that's where my placenta is, West Mogrango. Mr. Speaker, that hospital has remained incomplete, Mr. Speaker, despite the governor having paid 15 million shillings for construction of that hospital. Listen to this, Mr. Speaker. 32 million shillings were set aside to supply water to households in Nyamira. What did the governor do? Instead, Mr. Speaker, the governor decided to pay this money to certain individuals Wilson Nyaboga Nyang'au was paid 244,000 shillings to do feasibility study, Mr. Speaker. Another one, Vincent Kipsang Cheruyot, I don't know whether this one hails from Senator Cheruyot's count, was paid 279,500, Mr. Speaker, to facilitate training. Which training? Mr. Speaker, if you read the document from the auditor, all that money, not even a coin, was used to supply water to any household. It was used, Mr. Speaker, instead for feasibility studies, facilitation of workshops. It is, what a shame to this governor, Mr. Speaker. When he appeared before the Senate, Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the only question he was asking, Mr. Speaker, Senator Sifuna just raised a statement and said, Governor, tell us, why did you pay this person called Daniel Nyakundi 860 shillings? He said, Chairman, I've become sick. Before senators, in the committee, he said, I've become sick. Since when, Mr. Speaker, if you are a sick person, do you come before senators to tell them you are sick, or you should have gone to hospital, Mr. Speaker? This is just a way of evading accountability, Mr. Speaker. And I'm demanding, Mr. Speaker, next time these governors appear before us, it should be before a committee of the whole. Finally, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, Senator, Majority Leader, we should benchmark from what happens in Australia. Parliamentary Privileges Act that was enacted by the Parliament of Australia in 1987 has given the House powers to detain any witness or any person who appears before the House for a period of 6 months, Mr. Speaker. What happened this afternoon, Mr. Speaker? Instead of the Speaker sending the Sergeant at Arms to arrest the governor for Samburu, he should just have decreed that I've ordered that you be locked up for the next 1 week, Mr. Speaker. So we must move with speed and amend the Parliamentary Privileges Act, Mr. Speaker, to put that power the way the Australian government has done. They did it in 1987 because of an experience they went through. We must also move with speed, Mr. Speaker, and do it. And finally, Mr. Speaker, anybody who is a former member of this House who shows contempt to this House, Mr. Speaker, should not have the privilege of walking to this House as and when they wish and do what Governor of Samburu attempted to do. Mr. Speaker, we should reserve the power to say, if you are in contempt of this House, Mr. Speaker, there are certain privileges you will not enjoy. I support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Very well, very well. Next is Senator Chalagay Samson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. From the onset, I want to support this motion by Senator Ledama Olekina. I think this is the right direction, Mr. Speaker, that we should take. I think, Mr. Speaker, after the resolution yesterday, we need now to put DCI, EACC, Controller of Budget, and DPP now on toes for the recommendations that we passed yesterday, Mr. Speaker. It cannot be, Mr. Speaker, I want to begin from where Senator of Nairobi left, that I saw the chair of COG saying that the Public Accounts Committee is embarrassing them. When a governor in Kericho, who is called Dr. Krom locally there, says that he bought a tissue paper, a single tissue paper for 3,000 shillings. Is it right? When a governor of Kericho buys, and this is according to the Office of the Auditor General report, buys a soda of 500 ml with 2,000 shillings. Is it in order, Mr. Speaker? Is it in order? Are we embarrassing them or they are embarrassing themselves, Mr. Speaker? If a governor does a housewarming of 5 million Kenya shillings in Vihiga, is it not they are embarrassing themselves, not us, we are embarrassing them, Mr. Speaker? If a governor in Bungoma in November buys 3.6 million worth of Christmas tree, is he embarrassing himself or embarrassing us? Shame on them, Mr. Speaker. If a governor in Mandera purchases seedlings of 55 million in a dry area instead of doing water tracking, is it himself embarrassing himself or us we are embarrassing him, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if a governor in the COG get monthly, every financial year. And that is why all the clause of the chair of COG was coming out. Are you aware, in our reporters pack, we found that every county is paying 5 million illegal subscription fees to COG, a club of blunderers, a club of gossip, a club of impunity against the law and fugitive of justice. Do you want us to celebrate them? Are we embarrassing them, Mr. Speaker? If a governor in Migori is hiring what we call sangueñas to be the cheerleaders in a function, Mr. Speaker, do you want us to celebrate? In Machakos, a young man by the name Kyoko, who is being owed by the county 19 million for supplying uniform, is lying in bed for simply demanding for justice. Mr. Speaker, counties are owed, and the chair of PAG yesterday said, close to 30 billion to most of our businessmen and women in our counties. Businesses are dying, Mr. Speaker. Do you want us to be nice to governors? Do you want us to give them Christmas cards or love cards, or them to send them emojis of beauty, Mr. Speaker? We cannot, we should not allow, Mr. Speaker. When a governor, Mr. Speaker, in Wasingishu, Mr. Speaker, employs 765 casuals, ghost workers, who are paid manually, and most of them are used as political goons. You want us to treat them and call them the excellencies? Even if they are called excellencies, there is nothing excellent about them. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing excellent. When you saw the governor of Machakos, he bought milk and branded our face on the milk, Mr. Speaker. You want us to celebrate them and give them flowers and give them chocolates, Mr. Speaker? When the governor of Siaya, who used to pride himself as the working constitution, violates Article 10 on national values and principles of good governance, Article 172 on objects of devolution, Chapter 13 on principles of public finance, Mr. Speaker, and Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, and comes and say, I will not speak before the committee. I don't want to be held accountable because some illegal outfit called COG has said they will not appear before the Senate. It's embarrassing, Mr. Speaker. And when you go to such counties, for example, in Wasingishu, Mr. Speaker, just quickly, they put 10 parcels of land worth 129,150,000 Kenyan shillings without verification. A direct, outright rip-off of the money in Wasingishu, Mr. Speaker. Not Kitui. Kitui, they are stealing sand. How do you steal things that God gives? The curses that will strike some of these governors are still doing press-ups in heaven, Mr. Speaker. Because what they are doing is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, county like Nandi is not a going concern. My governor decided to allocate himself 484 million for office operations. Most of those are Christian as operations, but they are used for personal escapades, chai and mandazi, Mr. Speaker, and buying gazettes. Mr. Speaker, they go to Masai Mara, and I have information. While they are allocating 60 million for bursary, what are you telling us, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, we must call it, and I hope the country is watching. I hope EACC, the ODPP, Mr. Speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, even, for example, I visited Chepterwai on 28 February. That project worth 41.5 million is stalled in Chepterwai, Masab sub-county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my governor decided to leave official vehicles and use car hire services of 41 million in that financial year. Why? Because the vehicles from county are marked. He wanted a car hire for personal escapades to go to 411 or some of the clubs in Eldoret and Kisumu. And I'm told if you are a girl and you are dating some of these governors, you will live large like you have never done. Mr. Speaker, Homa Bay, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, Homa Bay, even young boys, I'm told, the Bentons, also, even Homa Bay, Mr. Speaker, they were to construct a county headquarters worth 500 million. But corruption and public rip-off of county pension scheme, they constructed a county headquarters worth more than 800 million. What are you telling us? While I celebrate Mama Gladys Wanga for being a good supporter of broad-based, that is not justification to steal from the public. They can never hide. And I know where they are going to hide, Mr. Speaker. Even Abdul Samad, Mr. Speaker. Even Karisa, Mr. Speaker, where 731 million was paid to ghost workers, Mr. Speaker. And I want to ask my beloved president, should these people be spotted at the gate of State House? They should be chased away, arrested promptly by the Inspector General of Police, and be frog-marched before the House for accountability. They have tendencies on El Chapo Guzman. You remember the story of El Chapo Guzman, Mr. Speaker? He ran away, but it was finally caught up, Mr. Speaker. I want to say, as protectors of devolution, Mr. Speaker, that we must agree as a country. Look at Elgeyo Marakwet County. They purchased semen worth 273 million bioassets. Why would you purchase semen that is free available when the cow and the bull is on it? Why are you buying semen, Mr. Speaker? 273 million, Mr. Speaker, that the governor purchased. And when I heard the projects are stalled, Mr. Speaker, this must be brought, Mr. Speaker, before the House so that we can be held accountable. Of course, the Wajir is no longer a going concern. If there is a chair of COG that is the worst since the beginning of the revolution, is the governor of Wajir, Hamed Abdullahi. Hamed Abdullahi. Mr. Speaker, I met him, and I want to confess, I asked him a question, and it is of tremendous respect. I asked him, it is not halal to eat pork, but is it halal to steal from the public? He did not answer me. He said he's in broad-based. Mr. Speaker, we must call these thieves for who they are. Whether they are in one term or two term, they are thieves. It will never change, Mr. Speaker. And we must prosecute them, Mr. Speaker. Whether they want to hide before the united opposition, whether Linda Mwananchi or in two term, Mr. Speaker, they must face justice because that is where they belong, Mr. Speaker. Nairobi Governor and Samburu, as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, their warrant of arrest is still active. I want to appeal to Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, he is a fairly old man. His age is an age where he doesn't want cases. I want to ask him, we have a parliamentary police cell here. Can he submit as we go for Easter, the two governors? We deal with them on Tuesday at 8 a.m. But because Waziri wa Sheria Sifuna will not wake up early, we do it at 11. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion, and in the interest of colleagues also to contribute, I yield back the mic. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, honorable senators, let us hear from the other agenda. That has been a bit volatile. Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this time that I can contribute towards this motion, and from the word go, I support it fully 100%. Because, Mr. Speaker, the governors, what has surprised me, Mr. Speaker, is that they are summoned, they are called to come and appear to CPIC and PAC. And, Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised some of them write letters in the morning of the day they are supposed to appear and say that they are not able because they have other important issues to tend to. Mr. Speaker, and I wonder what is so special more than their counties that they are serving. Mr. Speaker, as I speak now, I have a young man by the name Sami Kioko admitted in hospital right now with a broken leg when he was going to demand for his payment at the county government of Machakos. And he was arrested by the people from Machakos, beaten, taken around until night. I was being called at 10 o'clock in the evening to be told that he's in Machakos, he's in Kangundo Hospital, and they are heading to Nairobi West. Mr. Speaker, these governors, when they are called here, they must appear and come and answer. And that is as a reason of pending bills that are there. Mr. Speaker, I wish Senator Kio can give you time to listen to what we are saying. Mr. Speaker,
we are okay.
This is due to pending bills. In Machakos County, we are pending bills from the first governor who was there to date for more than 5 billion. Mr. Speaker, these governors, when stalled projects, we cannot even count. There are so many, and not only Machakos, across all the 47 counties, we are pending bills, we have stalled projects, and people have died who supplied things in the government, in the county governments, because of lack of payments. Others are suffering high blood pressure, diabetes, name it, because of stress, because they took loans from banks to go and do that work from the governors. And yet, we fight for them to get money from here. And that is why I also support that we should not approve that increment of the monies that should be taken to counties until they style up and be accountable for the monies that they have already received. Mr. Speaker, it is not only the 29, I think there are more than 29 because they are from PAC and CIPIC. And some of them, we write letters up to 4 times before they appear before us. Mr. Speaker, this is very wrong because we have accountability of checking and oversighting them, what they are doing with the money that we request. Mr. Speaker, if you see these governors, I don't know if your governor is like the rest of them. When they go showing what roads they have built, what projects they have done, and they never even mention senators, when the senators are the people who are bringing them the money to be able to work. And yet, they brag and you hear the Mwananchi clapping for them. And you are there, senator, sitting, you know, feeling like you have done nothing, and yet, all the money they are using, we fight for it here and we take it down to them. Before they start even introducing the projects, they should first of all recognize the senators who bring them the money to be able to work. Mr. Speaker, these governors must learn how to behave and how to deal with this Senate and even with the senators down at the ground. We look like we have done nothing, and yet the monies that they are bragging that they've done this project, they've done that project, it is us who fight for it here. And Mr. Speaker, I get so mad that when my time comes and I stand, I must tell the people the money that the governor has done the projects. When you see a project that has been done, know that your senator has done work and has done what you have called them to do. Mr. Speaker, we love devolution, and we will continue defending devolution. But before we do anything now to increase amounts of money to the governors, they must account for the monies that they have received already. And EACC must take their position and get the governors who did not appear to us, because the queries from the Auditor General, then they've agreed and accepted that it is the true record of what is there on the ground. So, Mr. Speaker, I plead with the governors to pay pending bills and even to be able to finish the stalled projects, because that is taxpayers of Mwananchi that is lying there doing nothing. And I also plead with my governor to pay Sami Kioko the dues that is supplied for the clothes that is supplied at the county. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Senator Maina Veronica.
Honorable Speaker, at the very onset, I want to support this motion by Senator Ledama. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, I want to single out one of the asks that Senator Ledama has brought forth, and that is item number 4, that we must collaborate with the oversight bodies, controller of budget, EACC, and DPP to impose consequences under Chapter 6 of Leadership and Integrity, and the governor's failure to appear before the Civic Committee, Honorable Speaker, is the highest breach of our Constitution. The governors have a constitutional duty, and public trust has been bestowed upon them under Chapter 6 of the Constitution. So when they fail to observe what they are required to observe in the course of the audit cycle, which requires them to appear before the committees in Senate to account for the resources, the devolved resources to the counties, they have broken that cycle, the audit cycle, and what should automatically follow, Honorable Speaker, is that they should actually be held guilty, just like one of the senators indicated here. Because if you do not want to appear before a committee to account for devolved resources, what does that mean about you? Are you a thief? What is it that you're hiding? Why can't you come and answer queries that have arisen from audit documents? Honorable Speaker, nothing is as easy as EACC to take action against those governors and hold them accountable for those funds they have not explained to the public. And I want to request, first of all, the county assemblies to take note of the 29 governors. I mean, I am even asking myself, is it possible that in a country where there is a constitution, in a country where there is a functional parliament, that a governor chooses not to appear? Is it optional? Do they even understand the mandate? I want to ask the county assemblies to take that list of shame of all the governors who failed to appear, because it is contemptuous to the voter, it's contemptuous to Parliament, it's contemptuous to the people of Kenya. That you have received resources in billions, Honorable Speaker, and people are not blind to the fact that we have seen apartments mushrooming in estates, allegedly owned, and developers being the governors themselves, Honorable Speaker. That somebody does not want to account for the resources devolved to a county, and they are the ones in charge of those resources, Honorable Speaker, cannot appear before Senate. This can only maybe possibly happen in the Republic of Kenya. Nowhere else in the whole world. It has never been heard that you are summoned by Parliament and you opt and even actually come into Parliament and hold a press conference where we have no right ourselves as members of Parliament to hold a press conference, Honorable Speaker. I want to say this. If that governor who was holding a press conference today, if no action is taken from the Speaker's seat, we need to ask ourselves whether we are exercising our mandate under Article 96. The first function of Senate is oversight over the counties. Oversight over the counties. Is it possible that Kenyans struggled so much, sweat so much, to enact a constitution which devolved power from a central government, put it back to the people, and then somebody subjugates that power and chooses to run it the way they feel like, as though it's their mother's kitchen or their wife's backyard? That is out of order, Honorable Speaker. Indeed.
Honorable Senators, I know this matter is very emotive, especially failure to appear before the CPAC. But let us at least be fair to...
Honorable Speaker, it's not a light matter, and I do not want to portray it.
At least we be fair to other members of their families.
I know what I mean, and I mean to say exactly that, Honorable Speaker. That it's not a personal space, Honorable Speaker.
Point of order, Senator Kadri.
Give me the mic.
You have the mic now.
Honorable Speaker, I stand on a point of order on the language used by my honorable colleague. Mother's kitchen, wives, what was it? Wives' backyard. I can assure you, mothers and wives are the ones who are taking care of this country when governments are not doing their job. So it's unfair for you to even make reference to them. You might want to make a reference to the other gender, but I would want to ask that you withdraw the reference to mothers and wives, who are the people who are carrying the burden of this country as the governments sleep on the job.
But no, just a minute, Senator Veronica Maina. Senator Catherine Muma, did the chair caution the member? You know the chair, of course, is managing the House, and I did caution the member that you should not trend on that manner. Maybe I'm the one who has prompted you also to think that, but then since I did the caution, I think it's fair enough that, no, since I did caution the member, I don't think now it is again important to do that. Proceed and conclude kindly.
Honorable Speaker, you know I'm the chair of KEWOSA and a defender of women. And I'm a mother myself and a wife. The context within which I have said this is to mean that because mothers are so loving, that in their kitchen you will have a few liberties and you can get away with it, that they don't take it. The context is to mean it's not a personal space, but it goes beyond the personal space. However, if anybody feels as though they are offended, they must take cognizance of the fact that I'm a wife and a mother, and I know what I mean when I'm in my kitchen. I can allow you to have coffee when we were actually making tea. Those flexibilities are allowed within the domestic space. That allowance is not available when you are taking up a responsibility in public. You must read the Constitution. But in my house, I don't keep a constitution for the meals I do, or some of the behaviors people do. There are some we even overlook. But to make my sister comfortable, the context is this. Maybe I should say the father's kitchen, or the father's, or the husband's backyard. But since we have few governors who are women, Honorable Speaker, it still goes back to the other gender. Honorable Speaker, what I mean to say is this. They are not showing as though they understand Chapter 6 of the Leadership and Integrity. And I call upon county assemblies to impeach any governor in that list of 29 governors who have not appeared, to consider impeachment proceedings. Number two, I call upon the voters to consider doing very serious interviews of any governor candidate who shows interest in taking up that position. Indeed, it's my position, Honorable Speaker, like the Dominican Republic, maybe it's time for us to consider giving governorship position to women, a lot of women, so that we can have better management of the resources sent to the county. Honorable Speaker, the reason why I say this is because there are too many factors that are being managed at the county, and we have seen counties which cannot even manage the resources to even sweep the city or unclog the drainage. Why have they failed to do that? Basic things that happen. Yes, I would wish to be informed by Senator Sifuna, and I hope respectfully so. Speaker can allow you.
Okay, please, if
I accept to be informed.
Yeah, I just wanted to inform my senior, Senator Veronica Maina, that these issues of incompetence and bad management, they know no gender, they know no political party. They cut across. I mean, that governor who moved 10 million shillings from a KIPES account to throw a bash for a border group is actually a lady governor. Yeah. So there's no gender distinction when it comes to bad manners.
Honorable Speaker, I concede to that information given, especially when it is based on facts and figures. I cannot fight with it. Let every governor, whether man or woman, account for the resources that are sent to their counties. And I would urge women to behave very well when they are holding that position, so that we can have a G14 or G25, moving from the G7, which was stepped down to G6, so that we can have many more women governors who can then clean up our cities and show a good example of how a city should be managed even better than the homes that they managed very effectively and very competently. Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to support this motion and ask the governors to man up or woman up and take up the responsibility of accountability and know that the baton has been pressed by the president. Tomorrow there is a conference coming up, Honorable Speaker, and it's about transparency and accountability. The nation is moving on. It's time to account for the resources that come into our hands as leaders. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Senators, you know Kenyans are asking themselves, who are these 29? No. Who are these 29? Who are the 13 who didn't comply? Who are these senators? You know, it depends on where you are listening from. So you should not be ashamed even to read the list. You know, the chair does not participate in debates, but this one, I'm a bit compromised on this one. Senator Ososi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by commending the Minority Whip for this very good motion and very timely. Mr. Speaker, as I support this motion, let me say that I have contacted the Secretariat to try and amend this motion so that instead of these governors appearing before the two committees, as members they alluded earlier, they appear before the whole House. And I don't know, a way must be found out. I'm being told that the standing orders do not allow that. But a committee of the whole House is a committee of Parliament, is a committee of Senate. So I would, if you allow me, Mr. Speaker, we do an amendment so that they appear before us the same way they appear before us when we are conducting impeachment. We want all of them to be lined up here so that we can ask them questions one by one. That way, I think the impact will be felt wider and across than them appearing before the committee, because I'm sure if you send them to the committee, they will start bringing the same issues that they are brought, that they cannot appear before the two committees. So if they cannot appear before the two committees, let them appear before the whole House, so that we see how we test the allegation that they have been bribing members of this committee. Let them come and tell us how they have been bribing members of the committee, and can they bribe the entire House, Mr. Speaker? So, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I want to bring that amendment so that we say that they will appear before the committee of the whole. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it is very boring.
Senator Ososi, before I leave the chair,
yes,
because you have requested me to agree with you,
yes,
I agree with you totally. Because we spend 6 hours with the CSs, and then we don't summon any governor to appear before this house. We need to amend the standing orders.
Yeah.
I would convince the speaker who chairs that committee and myself as the vice chair, we must amend those standing orders to allow governors to appear. Even we can step down all the CSs and allow governors to be appearing before this.
Yes. So I think that punishment would be more effective than them appearing before the committee, because they will start playing the usual games, postponing their appearance or even rejecting to appear. So I think we need to think about that. Mr. Speaker, I was saying that it is very boring, and I want to reveal to this House, it is very boring chairing the two committees, because it looks like a ritual. Every year the same issues and nothing is being done. Same queries, nothing is being done. And Mr. Speaker, even as we say that we are going to ask them to come and tell us the implementation of our recommendation, I want to say that if you look at the report of PAC and PIC, you realize that 90% of the recommendation are to EACC to investigate and take action. But EACC has slept on the job, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the report for last year and even the other year, no feedback from EACC. So even as we talk about governors appearing before us, let us also find a way of making EACC accountable to this House. Because it's very painful, Mr. Speaker, that governors just come, they appear before us as a ritual, they leave, we do reports, nothing is being done, and then the following year comes, and 5 years is gone. Mr. Speaker, if I may give experiences of my committee, water companies, this is a conduit for corruption and stealing. They have deliberately allowed this company not to operate efficiently. These companies are just avenues of stealing money from the county. They pump money into these companies saying, oh, they want to help them pay salaries, they want to help them pay electricity bill, and then they find a way of going to collect that money again. These companies sell water, and most of that water is not accounted for, Madam Speaker, because most of that water is non-revenue water, because there are a lot of companies selling water in our counties. We went to Bomet last year, and it is very surprising that in Bomet, the water company is actually insolvent. The water company is insolvent, but the staff are there working. They are looking very healthy. They look like people who make money, and there are a lot of water companies selling water here and there, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, something has to be done. If you look at hospitals in our counties, Madam Speaker, they are barely functional, Madam Speaker. It is sad that we were told Busia County, imagine a referral hospital that is even thinking of being upgraded to a level 6, has no ambulance. And they appeared before PAC, and the PAC gave them a timeline to buy an ambulance by November. They came to CPIC the other day, and they have not bought the ambulance, Madam Speaker. They have a small mortuary with so many bodies, a capacity of 12 bodies, but now the bodies which are there are more than 30. And they have nowhere to take the bodies. The machines are non-functional in these hospitals, Madam Speaker. Not just Busia, many other hospitals. And yet they are collecting money. FIF, they have refused to implement FIF according to the law. They are still, the FIF Act is very clear that the money that is raised in the hospital must be used within the hospital. But that money is still being taken away, Madam Speaker, because they are finding loopholes for corruption. Madam Speaker, when you talk about funds, there is one particular fund that is now being used as a conduit for corruption. The empowerment funds, the Women Empowerment Fund, the Youth Fund, Enterprise Fund, all these funds are criminal enterprises, Madam Speaker. Because in all the counties, they give out loans and are unable to recover their loans, Madam Speaker. And they come before us and they complain, they say how difficult it is to recover the money. And most of these loans have been given to the friends, girlfriends, and relatives and boyfriends in some counties of the governors, Madam Speaker. If you look at our report, look at the amount of unrecoverability of loans, you will be surprised. It's running into billions of shillings, Madam Speaker. And we have recommended to EACC to take action. Madam Speaker, nothing is being done. Nothing is being done. So, Madam Speaker, I want to recommend that before we invite the governors here, can we also invite the EACC to appear before us, the Committee of the Whole and DCI, to ask them why have they not taken action on our recommendation. I think that should be the beginning. And Madam Speaker, I'm beginning to think that this House, we need to rate our governors. Because I know there are some governors who are working, Madam Speaker. I am so impressed by the reports of Makueni County, Governor Mutula Kilonzo. I'm also impressed partially by the reports of Muranga County and even Nyeri County partially. Madam Speaker, there are some governors who are also doing a good job. Let us have a way of rating these governors so that we don't leave this task to some funny guys outside there, where governors pay money and they are rated. You hear someone is the best governor. And when you go on the ground, there is nothing. This House should also conduct the rating so that every year, let us have a list of shame, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, as I conclude, EACC is protecting governors. The other institution that is protecting governors, Madam Speaker, is the presidency. Because governors...
Time up, time up. We have many senators on the line. Senator Dangwa, please. Oh.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, even as I rise to support the motion, you know, many who follow me, they always ask whether the substantive Speaker of the Senate is a madam, because whenever I speak, it's Madam Speaker, where the others are saying Mr. Speaker. But I tell them I think I find favor.
So you should thank me
Yes,
for giving you
I
an
thank
opportunity to speak.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think I will pick it up from where Senator Osotsi, my former chair, when I was a member of CIPIC, and to say that all counties have failed, and it looks normal, Madam Speaker. Because all of them, according to this report, they all got a qualified opinion. And when you hear qualified opinion, sometimes it looks like a nice word, Madam Speaker, but that means there are errors, there are gaps, and there is no compliance, Madam Speaker. So whenever a county gets a qualified opinion, it means they never gave the documents that were required to substantiate or to explain the expenditures that they had, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 32 billion in pending bills, 115 debt when it comes to pensions, Madam Speaker. That is what the governors are doing at this moment. And when you hear a governor is invited to this Senate and cannot honor the summons, Madam Speaker, then it begs the question, are we truthless as a House? Are they not even afraid of the Speaker of this House, Madam Speaker? Because, and I can give this an analogy, Madam Speaker, whereby the police issues a warrant of arrest of a criminal. They even give a wanted, they issue a wanted post or poster. But the police do not arrest that criminal. But in the evening, the same criminal goes to the IG or to the head of that police department and have tea in his police station and is not arrested, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, who is taking this House as does not understand what you're supposed to be doing here, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today, the governor of Samburu, yesterday was the governor of Nairobi. They come to this Senate and they hold a press conference, Madam Speaker, and say, you see, we are here. We presented ourselves. The Senate did not do anything. So they should stop telling us that we are running away. But Madam Speaker, when the Senate has come to you to tell you now, come in, we are here, then you run away. And that is what has happened this afternoon, Madam Speaker, when the governor of Samburu was around, where we wanted just to talk to him, because if he's around, let's ask him questions, Madam Speaker. But he ran away, Madam Speaker. Madam Speakers, counties are not failing accidentally. They are doing so systematically, Madam Speaker. Because they are planning to do this, Madam Speaker. And when they plan to do this, they believe the Senate is not or does not have the teeth to bite, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me give you an example. Because even if we are looking at the auditor's report, we are somehow in that group of a mortician, Madam Speaker. Because you have to wait for the Auditor General to do the work, then we have to look into that issue, then we have to ask questions that the Auditor General probably had asked and never got the answers, Madam Speaker. Today, as we speak, there is this report by the county, by the COB, Controller of Budget, the County Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the last half year, Madam Speaker. That is most current, Madam Speaker. But do you know what? We have to wait for the Auditor General to come and ask those questions. So those questions that I'm supposed to be asking today, Madam Speaker, I'll have to wait till 2027 probably. And by sheer luck, or whatever, Madam Speaker, I become the governor of Kiambu in 2027. The questions that I'm supposed to be asking now, I'll have to answer them then, when I become the governor of Kiambu, Madam Speaker. So there is a problem somewhere. Because today the reports are there by COB. We have seen them, they are online, but we have to wait for the Auditor General to release these reports for us now to ask questions, Madam Speaker. I think the best way is what Senator Osotsi is suggesting, that we should do away with the CSs here. Because sometimes I find it like we're just romanticizing that for nothing, Madam Speaker, when they come here to stand here. We should be inviting governors so that they can come and answer these questions, Madam Speaker. We ask, for example, Kiambu County, where I come from, the Senate, we help them here. We give them 13 billion as equitable share, Madam Speaker. But when we give them 13 billion, they do a budget of 26 billion. Madam Speaker, they say they are going to raise 10 billion as own source revenue, Madam Speaker. And when you look at this report by the COB, Madam Speaker, for the last 6 months, Kiambu County has collected only 1 billion as own source revenue. So they have a deficit of about 9 billion that they're supposed to collect within the next 6 months, Madam Speaker. Now, when this happens, that's why we will always be having pending bills, Madam Speaker. The pending bills will be always there because they are over-budgeting, they are over-implementing or over-committing these monies to the contractors, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to finish by saying what we have witnessed from these reports, Madam Speaker, is that we have accounting without accountability. We have expenditure, Madam Speaker, without evidence. And we have governments without governance, Madam Speaker. So what we would say as the Senate, Madam Speaker, is that we do what other governments have been doing. And it happened in the UK Parliament in 2021 when the Parliament summoned somebody by the name Dominic Cummings, an advisor of the then Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. And when he refused to appear before the committee, and he was just a mere advisor, Madam Speaker, they did what we are supposed to be doing now, Madam Speaker, by providing sanctions, by even making non-appearance to the Senate to be an impeachable offense, Madam Speaker. Because if you cannot appear to the committee, you cannot appear to the Senate, you are obstructing unlawful oversight, Madam Speaker. And that is obstruction of duty. And if you obstruct even a police officer, it's an offense. So it would be an offense to obstruct the Senate, Madam Speaker. As easy as that. And it is a violation of constitutional accountability. And if it is a violation of Constitution, Article 181 of our Constitution gives it as a ground enough to impeach someone, Madam Speaker. So we should be giving governors some red cards. When they come here and we give them, they take to their counties, so that now the MCAs can pick up from there and say, if you did not appear to the Senate, then that means you have violated the Constitution. That means this is an impeachable ground, and so we remove you. And then they come here, Madam Speaker, and they will meet us now. That will be, their final visit to the Senate, because if you do not appear to the Senate when we invite you to account, then when you are brought here, we should not even give you an ear. We should just send you home where the MCAs would want you to be, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I stand here to support this motion, and especially the last sentence of that motion that says, and I read it, Mr. Speaker, we should disqualify them from future electoral candidacies. Madam Speaker. So if we find a governor is not appearing to the Senate, then why are you running again to be a governor? To do what? Madam Speaker, because you cannot account to what you are spending. You cannot account to your deeds, Madam Speaker, in that county. So I support this motion, and thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I will always be here when you are there, Madam Speaker, so that I get that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Thangwa. Senator Munyihaji Faki. And if you are well-minded, Senator Faki, you can use less minutes than your allocation so that others can speak. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, sijui kwa nini umenichagua mimi kuongea kwa uchache zaidi kuliko wengine, lakini nitajaribu Mheshimiwa Speaker. Kwanza Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni mpongeze Senator Olekina kutoka gatuzi la Narok kwa kuweza kuleta mswada huu. Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni kweli kwamba maazimio mengi ambayo yanafanywa na bunge hili yanaachiwa taasisi zingine ambazo inafaa kuyasimamia na kuyatekeleza. Lakini tumeona kwamba kwa muda mrefu maazimio yao hayajafuatiliwa. Kwa mfano Mheshimiwa Speaker, kulipotokea janga la Solai, kamati ya bunge hili ilifanya kazi kubwa kwa wale ambao walikuwa katika bunge hili wakati ule. Lakini baadaye ikawa hakuna jambo lolote la kutekeleza. Vile vile tulipoanza bunge hili Mheshimiwa Speaker, tulipokwenda Shakahola, tulipendekeza mambo mengi, lakini hakuna hata moja ambalo lilitekelezwa. Hata ule mswada ambao Mheshimiwa Mungatana aliupendekeza, ilibidi baada ya kuonana na makanisa ikabidi aregee nyuma na aweze kuondoa mswada huo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, huu mswada utasaidia pakubwa kuleta usawa na uwajibikaji kwa zile taasisi nyingine za kiserikali kama vile ofisi ya ODPP, anti-corruption na vile vile taasisi nyingine ambazo zinahusika na masuala haya. Mheshimiwa Speaker, swala la kupuuzwa kwa ripoti za auditor ama mhasibu mkuu wa serikali ni jambo la kawaida kwa magavana wetu. Kila mwaka kwa mfano kule kwetu Mombasa, kila mwaka Mombasa Municipal Stadium ilikuwa iko katika ripoti. Na kila mwaka tumeelezwa sababu tofauti kwa nini haijatekelezwa. Lakini ukiangalia kuna pesa zimetumika labda milioni 100, milioni 80 za kulipa watu ambao zilikuwa pesa zile zinastahili kufanywa kazi nyingine. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, watu wengi wanasema kwamba kufa kwa wengi ni harusi. Na hapa wale magavana ambao wamehusika na utepetevu huu wa kukataa kupuuza maamuzi ya kamati ni 29, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Na nipe fursa hii Mheshimiwa Speaker, kabla ya kukaa niweze kuwataja wale magavana wahusika ili kila mtu ajue tunazungumzia nani. Mheshimiwa Speaker, tutaanza na kaunti 001 ambao ni kaunti ya Mombasa. Gavana wetu alipewa fursa ya kuja mpaka wiki iliyokwisha tarehe 24 nafikiri ya 23 ya mwezi huu alikuwa ameitwa na kamati hii ya uhasibu, lakini hakuweza kuhudhuria. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hawa 29 ni kama ifuatavyo: Turukana, Turukana, gatuzi la Turukana, Tana River, Makueni. Na Mheshimiwa Speaker, Makueni tunasikitika sana kwamba Mheshimiwa ama Governor Mutula Kilonzo Junior alikuwako ni senator kwa mihula miwili na alikaa hapa kama kiranja wa wachache katika bunge hilo kwa muda mrefu. Kwa hiyo ni masikitiko Mheshimiwa Speaker kwamba amevaa joho jingine na anapuuza maamuzi ya bunge hili. Tharaka Nithi, Nandi, Siaya, Muranga pia Mheshimiwa Speaker, Mheshimiwa Irungu Kangata alikuwa pia anakaa pale anapokaa Mheshimiwa Wakoli. Alikuwa pia ni kiranja wa wengi katika bunge la Senate lililokwisha. Mheshimiwa Speaker, Senator Nakuru alikuwa naibu wa kiongozi wa wengi pia katika bunge lililokwisha Mheshimiwa Speaker. Senator Samburu, Marsabit, Nairobi, kiti cha Gavana Sakaja ni kile ambacho kiko karibu na anachokaa Mheshimiwa Alan Chesang. Mheshimiwa Homa Bay, huyu pia alikuwa ni mwenyekiti katika ile National Assembly, bunge la kitaifa, alikuwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya fedha kwa hata fulani. Mheshimiwa Spika, Wajir County ndiye mwenyewe kabisa yule ndio kubwa kabisa wale ambao wanapuuza maamuzi ya bunge hili. Migori, Mheshimiwa Spika, Senator Ochilo Wayako alikuwa anakaa pale Mheshimiwa Spika, na yeye alikuwa anasema kwamba nguvu za fisi ni katika mafisi wengine. Kwa hivyo huu msemo huu nafikiri ameuchukua akaupeleka katika baraza la magavana kukataa kuja katika bunge hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, Baringo County, Lamu County, Mheshimiwa Spika, gavana wa Lamu ni wakili mwenye tajiriba kubwa, lakini nashangaa ameingia katika kundi ambalo ni la mafisi na wengineo. Mheshimiwa Spika, Uasin Gishu, Busia County, Isiolo ndio baba wa wote hao. Kirinyaga County, Mheshimiwa Spika, huyu pia alikuwa ni mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana. Kisii County, Kajiado, Mheshimiwa Spika, Kakamega, Kilifi County, Mheshimiwa Spika, Garissa na Taita Taveta County. Mheshimiwa Spika, yote haya ni kwamba ni lazima ripoti za bunge hili zichukuliwe kwa umuhimu zaidi, na nimefurahi kwamba kiongozi wa wengi katika bunge hili ameuondoa ule mswada wa kugawanya pesa katika serikali hizi mbili, serikali ya ugatuzi na serikali kuu. Japokuwa itawakwaza baadhi ya wale magavana ambao walikuja katika bunge hili na kuweza kutetea ripoti zao, lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, saa nyingine watu wanasema kata pua uunge wajihi. Saa nyingine inaweza kuambiwa na daktari kwamba tusipokata hichi kidole mguu mzima tutaukata. Kwa hivyo sasa sisi tutakata kidole tuokoe mguu. Twazuia hii mswada wa fedha, Mheshimiwa Spika, ili kuhakikisha kwamba magavana hawa wanawajibika. Na katika uwajibikaji si jambo la kupendelea, ama ni jambo ambalo wanatufanyia sisi kama tunaweza kusema ni mzaha ama ni favor kwamba wanafanyia bunge hili kwamba mimi nikienda pale nitakwenda. Hii ni katiba, Mheshimiwa Spika, na ugatuzi tutaujenga iwapo tutaweza kuhakikisha kwamba wanawajibika. Mwisho kabisa, Mheshimiwa Spika, nakubaliana na Senator Aaron Cheriot alipozungumza kwamba uwajibikaji wa magavana wa pili wa muhula wa pili, yani kutoka mwaka 2017 mpaka 22, Mheshimiwa Spika, ulikuwa ni wa hali ya juu, kwa sababu wakati ule tulikuwa tunaangalia ripoti za miaka mitano ya kwanza, lakini sasa tunaangalia ripoti za mwaka ule ambao umekamilika. Kwa mfano sasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kamati hizi mbili zitakuwa na wakati mzuri wa kuangalia ripoti za mwaka 2025-26 ili tuweze kuwa sawa kabisa, ambapo tukisema kwamba bunge la kitaifa lilete ripoti zake pia ziweko sawa, ziwe sambamba na za bunge hili, itakuwa ni bora, kwa sababu pesa nyingi zitaweza kuletwa katika ugatuzi. Kwa sasa tunatumia hesabu za mwaka 2021-22 ili kugawanya pesa kwa kaunti zetu, lakini ikiwa bunge la kitaifa litakuwa sambamba na kuangalia ripoti za mwaka 2024 na 25 kama alivyofanya bunge hili, Mheshimiwa Spika, itasaidia pakubwa kupeleka rasilimali zaidi katika bunge letu. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono mswada huu, na tungependa kwamba wale magavana ambao hawa 29 ambao tumewataja hapa, Mheshimiwa Spika, waje pale katika bunge zima hili, kama zile Jumatano za asubuhi ambazo twadili na magavana, twadili na mawaziri, Mheshimiwa Spika, wawe ni magavana wako pale, kwa sababu hizo ndio kazi ambazo tutakana kufanya wananchi wetu wapate huduma. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you, Senator Faki. Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity. I support the motion to thank my leader, my brother, Senator Olekina, for bringing this motion. Because you remember yesterday, Madam Speaker, many members wanted to speak to the two reports, but we didn't have an opportunity because of the timelines. That's why it was important that today we have this motion to contribute so that we can ventilate. Madam Speaker, I agree that this 29 list of shame of governors be invited to come to the committee of the whole in this particular Senate, Madam Speaker. What I can note from the list of shame of 29, Madam Speaker, is it's unfortunate that majority of them either served in Senate or in National Assembly. Some of them were even cabinet secretaries, Madam Speaker. So these are people who had been put in positions of leadership. Some of them were members of National Assembly and Senate, and they are the ones who passed these particular laws, Madam Speaker, and they don't want to respect or even obey the laws, Madam Speaker. It's very unfortunate because people don't want to account. This particular Senate, Madam Speaker, as senators and as Senate, the relationship between Senate and senators and governors and county governments, Madam Speaker, our job is to ensure we do appropriation so that the resources can be sent to the counties. And then the next relationship that we have with them is oversight. They are working very, very well with us when we want to appropriate the resources. They are the implementers, but when it comes to the opportunity of doing oversight, they don't want to be accountable, Madam Speaker. You can have your cake and eat it, Madam Speaker. This is unfortunate. In fact, in the Committee of Civic and Board, CBAC, Madam Speaker, we have done so many rescheduling of meetings. Somebody says, I'm out of the country, then you see them in the evening in the news. You wonder why this particular, you're out of the country, but you are in the news in the evening. Where are you? I mean, this is really lying. So that is why, Madam Speaker, they knew that we only have after 31st of March of each year, Madam Speaker. So that's why they were trying to reschedule to avoid coming to Senate to answer to queries raised by the Auditor General, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that is why as CIPIC and CIPAC, we said let us adopt the reports the way they are. And then from there, we pass them to ACC, to DCI, and then eventually they can meet the office of the ODPP and judiciary because they need to face the law. You cannot want to lead people and you don't want to be accountable to them, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, if you check those particular reports, you will be surprised. You can see a second-term governor, a report comes to the committee which is adverse. Adverse means basically there is nothing. There were no documents. Others is disclaimer. So it means there were no records completely, Madam Speaker. And this is somebody who is in the office. Auditor General's officers, they go there for initial meeting. They do management reports. They give them opportunity, but they don't. But by the time they are invited to come to Senate, some of them manufacture documents. Yeah, they manufacture documents and falsify to look like they have basically, they have complied. But all of them, if you check through them, Madam Speaker, you will be surprised. In fact, most of the governors who have come to these particular committees, when you ask them to respond, majority don't respond. They say, CEC Finance, CEC Water. You wonder why you are the one in charge of the county. How can you be in charge of the county and you don't know what's happening? Even to read what has been written, some of them can't even read. Yeah, imagine. I mean, the accountants have written these things for you, but you can't respond. You can't read them. You have to ask somebody to read for you. So maybe it is important also for Kenyans. 2027 is very close. We are asking our people, please vet the governance that we are going to put in place. The position of a governor is very important. It's as important as the presidency. That is why the requirement to be elected as a governor, you must have a degree. So please, Kenyans, watch, vet them, see if these are people who are likely to do something or they are just coming to steal. Because it looks like in this country we have devolved corruption. Corruption has been devolved in all the counties. So, Madam Speaker, when I come back now to my county, Elgeyo-Marakwet County, I want to ask the governor to complete all stalled projects. When the budget of 2026-27 comes in, can you put resources to complete Iten Amenity Hospital? You complete Chibararwa that was partially demolished, Kapcharab Sub-County Hospital, Tot Sub-County Hospital, you complete Kamoson. So that the people of Elgeyo-Marakwet County can get value for money. You know, there is no need to have projects stay for 5, 10 or so years without being used. It means basically we don't get value for money. So, Madam Speaker, I agree that we need the 29 governors. Instead of appearing in CIPIC and CIPAC, let them come and face the whole House, the way CS has come to this house, if the cabinet secretaries who are very busy get an opportunity to come and answer to Senate, then why are governors not coming? Because they don't have another job. They have CCs who they can delegate some duties at the county to be done by the governors, deputy governors or CCs. In fact, Madam Speaker, we need also to relook at this particular position for a deputy governor position. Most governors pick running mates. As soon as the deputy governors, elections are over, the deputy governors are left to read newspapers. They are given no role at all. We need to relook also at the Constitution so that our deputy governors can be allocated duties to assist the governors, instead of the governors bypassing them, dealing with CECs alone and chief officers who are used basically to steal together. So, Madam Speaker, I wish to support, and we ask EACC to move with speed. Already the report has been approved by the Senate yesterday. Look at the recommendations, and each of these two committees will report every month, as the motion says. Every month we'll give a progress report. And if EACC doesn't do its job, basically, it means we need to invite them here so that they get instruction. Yeah, you remember there was a time, PLO Lumumba, in the evening he didn't have a job because Parliament changed the law. So please, EACC, take up the challenge and move with speed, and we want to see governors being taken to court. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Senator Kisang. Senator Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate Senator Ledama because Senator Ledama, Madam Speaker, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I want to support and appreciate Senator Ledama on this motion because what the country has been drawn to could simply look like a banter between Senate and senators and governors. And this particular motion gives us opportunity to put things into perspective. And even in the discussion today, Madam Speaker, there has been generalities trying to catch up here and there what is happening in the different counties. Madam Speaker, with this opportunity, I want to narrow down to Migori County, because Migori County, Madam Speaker, was supposed to appear before PAC on 18th of this month, aware that these reports had to be processed by 31st, which was yesterday, Madam Speaker, so that we could be able to meet the deadlines. My governor, the governor of Migori County, refused to attend that meeting with the PAC. Now, because he refused to attend that meeting with the PAC, Madam Speaker, we passed the report yesterday as is. And that is what I want to be able to draw attention of the country here today, so that the country can answer the question that the senators are struggling with, whether my governor should or should not have appeared before PAC with regards to answering to the audit queries that were raised here in the report of 2024, 2020, 25. Madam Speaker, the Auditor General says in the report of Migori County that there was 8.6 million in Migori County, a variance that was withdrawn from the county revenue fund, and it is reported in the financial statements without knowing what this money was used for. I'm asking Kenyans, should the governor of Migori County have appeared before the PAC committee to be able to clarify this or not? Madam Speaker, the Auditor General says in their report that in 2024-2025, Migori County used 72 million shillings to build early childhood development education classrooms, that the Auditor General, in the best opinion, is not convinced that these classrooms were built because there was no clarity in terms of their tendering. There was no clarity and evidence in terms of any advertisement and quotes done. There was no even any committee evaluations to the building of these classrooms for ECDs, costing Migori County 72 million. I am asking Kenyans, should the governor of Migori have appeared before the Senate to make this clear to the country. Madam Speaker, the Auditor General says it had a major finding that in the county revenue fund of Migori County, there was another 58 million that was withdrawn without any paperwork. That money, the auditor is not sure what it was done with. It cannot, the Auditor General cannot even trace this money. I am asking the nation, was the governor of Migori County right to refuse to come to the park committee to be able to answer where this 58 million went to? Madam Speaker, in this report, and these are reports that have been put before this House because it did not come to answer, we passed a law, and the nation should understand, we passed a law that says that all monies from level 4 and level 3 hospitals, sometimes also to level 5 hospitals, must be retained in those hospitals to be able to serve those hospitals, to give medicine, to give support in terms of payment to staffers of those categories, and any other supplies, even where food is needed, to people who are sick in our level 3, level 4, and level 5 hospitals. Auditor General says that despite us insisting through a law that was passed by both houses of parliament that you cannot remove money from hospitals which whatsoever, the Auditor General says Migori County removed 146 million from all our level 4 hospitals and level 3 hospitals without accounting what they used that money for. The Auditor General cannot be able to trace. I am asking the nation, is the governor of Migori County right to look at the Committee of Parliament called PIC and say, I am not going to come and answer to that question, that is my money? Madam Speaker, I'm going on with a report that is before you, Madam Speaker, that there was an expenditure, Madam Speaker, of 50 million in legal fees in Migori County. And even after spending that 50 million, there was a variation of 3.9 million on accrued legal fee. Something we have said without time, without numbers, a house, that you cannot be able to accrue that kind of money. So you have got almost 54 million paid to legal fee that the Auditor General cannot be able to confirm whether this happened or not in Migori County. I am asking the nation, is the governor of Migori County fair to look the park committee in the eye and write to them a letter that I will not come to answer to this question? Madam Speaker, if you look at the report again on 2024-2025, there is a place called Taraguiti. This is in Kuria County, Madam Speaker. There's a dispensary that there was supposed to be building of a new staff's house in this dispensary in Taraguiti, Madam Speaker. The governor of Bigori used 2.5 million that the auditor says that the money was budgeted for, the money was used, but the new staffers' rooms was not built. I'm asking the nation, is the governor right not to come to this house to answer these questions?
Senator Eddie Okech, when we resume, you will have a balance of 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Honorable Senators, this motion will continue for debate and will be listed at the earliest instance, maybe tomorrow, on priority basis. Honorable Senators, it's now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 2nd April 2026 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
but we're also looking at other areas. Honorable Speaker, I was seeing very disturbing reports the other week when the president was in the Nyanza region and in the western region, and people complaining that why do we have the railway, why taxpayers will have to pay more taxation for the railway to go to the western and the Nyanza region. Honorable Speaker, this is very discouraging, because why are people upset when they see that development is also going to the western and the Nyanza region? And for us, Honorable Speaker, and we've made this known even to the President, is that we also want the SGR to pass by Ikonge and have an actual station that passes through Nyamira County, so that we can also be beneficiaries of this. Honorable Speaker, when development projects are being allocated to areas that will support Kenyans, I think this is something that we should really support. We cannot be people who just want one area to have development. Honorable Speaker, another example I want to cite, and I'm glad that I've also seen the energy sector has taken this into consideration, is that in places like the Gusii region, we only have 45% of electricity coverage, while some areas in this country have much more than that. And so when we have a location that is going to actually make a significant increment in terms of this, for us that's very exciting. Honorable Speaker, another area that I've seen is a key beneficiary, and it was mentioned here before, is in terms of the personnel welfare of the KDF. And this is very encouraging because they do a very good job. Honorable Speaker, the other area that is very significant is the revenue projection that has increased by 3.4 trillion, which is also, should also be an accolade, because we want to encourage and be in an environment where we are not just an expenditure space, but that we are also encouraging revenue streaming. Honorable Speaker, some of the key priorities and directives that are part of the supplementary are in the areas, for example, of existing ongoing projects that need additional financing so that they can be able to be completed. Another area that I've alluded to is infrastructure, and especially roads. We've seen already the Mau-Rironi road is underway, and this is going to really open up the western frontier and the Kavirondo belt. And Honorable Speaker, also in the space of agriculture in terms of fertilizer and irrigation, and the health space additionally. Honorable Speaker, another significant milestone and increment in this supplementary estimates is in the space of affordable housing. Again, for me, very exciting, because Nyamira is going to be one of the beneficiaries where we're going to have additional affordable housing projects. We're going to have the KMTC, which is very significant for the people of Nyamira, having hostels for the students there. But Honorable Speaker, my only concern, and I think this is something that I've mentioned here before, as Chair of Regional Integration, it gives me a lot of concern to note that the State Department of East African Community does not have any allocation. And I really wish that the Honorable Chair for Budget would listen to me, if Honorable John Kiare would allow him to listen to this, because it's a concern. And Madam Speaker, we were with you in Arusha during the summit of the heads of state. And one of the things that really came out from the State Department of EAC was the fact that they do not have adequate allocation for them to be able to support any projects that they are doing within that space. Honorable Speaker, why for me this is very concerning is because we are all aware that the one area where Kenya does a lot of trade in terms of import and export is within the East African Community Corridor. And therefore, if you're not supporting the State Department that seeks to actually engage and interact with the other members of the EAC, then we're not really supporting that space. And so, Honorable Speaker, I really want the budget chair, and as a committee, we've actually made a decision that we'll actually call him to engage him so that he can understand why it is very important for the EAC State Department to be given additional budgetary increment. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, once again, I just want to say that I really support this. I hope that the projects and the projects, the infrastructure projects, the development projects, the pending bills that have been actually incorporated into this will actually come to fruition so that we may be able to see the gains that we do have between now and the end of this particular financial year. With those few remarks, I submit and I support. I thank you.
Thank you. Chair, Finance Committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I stand to support this report by the Budgets and Appropriations Committee. As a Committee on Finance and National Planning, we've had great inputs on this particular report, Honorable Speaker. And one of the issues and one of the things that has been raised by the Majority Leader has been allocation of resources to Kenya Revenue Authority, especially for digitization. We are telling them that we are now at an age where there is AI, there's artificial intelligence, and we're telling them that they need to stop using the old brick and mortar in terms of expanding our tax base, Honorable Speaker. It is not Honorable Speaker, to note that only 20% of Kenyans pay 80% of our taxes. And what we'll be telling Kenya Revenue Authority, we cannot continue to burden 20% of Kenyans with 80% of the total collections in this country, Honorable Speaker. And we're telling them that for them to do that, they must digitize. And the solution can only lie in digitizing. We have a lot of imports, for example, Honorable Speaker, that come to this country. But in terms of the amount of money declared, in terms of the value of those particular products, when you compare the value of those particular products, Honorable Speaker, there is a huge, very huge difference. And we're saying then our scanners at our points of entry needs to identify what exact product, what the value of that product is, so that everyone pays their right share of tax. And what you're saying, Honorable Speaker, it is not anyone to pay any more taxes. It is for everyone to pay their fair share of tax, not 1 shilling more and not 1 shilling less, Honorable Speaker. I also want to thank the Kenya Revenue Authority, because after extensive conversations, they have now removed, Honorable Speaker, they had a table. They had a table that was special. It was called special table. That has been giving a nightmare to many taxpayers, Honorable Speaker. And I'm happy that after various deliberations, now they have removed that special table, Honorable Speaker, and they have many now taxpayers who are now back into being tax compliant and paying their rightful share of tax. Honorable Speaker, you'll notice that we have also allocated resources for training on EGP. Honorable Speaker, this issue of EGP, although it is great and is going to transform our economy, Honorable Speaker, in terms of ensuring there is fair procurement processes, ensuring that the pending bills reduce, Honorable Speaker, but there has been a very low budget absorption because of the low uptake of this particular EGP project, Honorable Speaker. And we have now otherwise provided resources to make sure that now this EGP kicks off and every entity is on the platform, and everyone who is using the platform is well trained, including even the suppliers, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have also recommended serious reforms on our pensions. Honorable Speaker, it is baffling to have the pensions department ask our retirees for their first pay slip when they are going on retirement, Honorable Speaker. We have teachers that were employed 40 years ago. How will they have a copy of their first pay slip? It is impossible. And what you told the pensions department, we have given resources for them to automate the process so that when someone retires, when a public officer retires, then they move automatically from the pay slip that was receiving when employed immediately into the pension space, Honorable Speaker. Most importantly, Honorable Speaker, this supplementary comes at a time when I expect that future budgets are going to have less fiscal deficit, Honorable Speaker, because of what this Honorable House passed 2 weeks ago, the Infrastructure Fund. And I'm very happy, Honorable Speaker, to see that the head of public service has today gazetted the governing council for the Infrastructure Fund. And as this House approved, we now have FCPA John Badi as a chairperson, as part of the board of the Infrastructure Fund. We have the very knowledgeable Dr. Kamau Thuge, the governor of CBK. We have our Attorney General. But most importantly, Honorable Speaker, I want to introduce several other people that has now been approved, has been gazetted as members of this governing council. We have Professor Benedict Orama, who is the chair of the board of Export Development Bank, Honorable Speaker, and who served previously as the chair of the board of Africa Export and Import Bank, what we usually call Exim Bank. These are professionals who are very well knowledgeable in terms of raising private equity. And what we are saying that this fund is going to provide the seed capital for the 5 trillion infrastructure fund that His Excellency the President envisions that will take us to, as we call it, Singapore. Honorable Speaker, is now beginning to take shape. We also have one Mrs. Faith Bomet, the current chairperson of the Kenya Pipeline Company. Again, a polished, experienced civil servant who's going to bring a lot of experience both in public service and from the private service, Honorable Speaker. And also notably is Mr. Paul Russo, the current CEO of Kenya Commercial Bank Group and the chairperson of the Kenya Bankers Association. Now, this is what we are saying, that we are going to create our infrastructure without adding to a national debt. And these players in the private sector, like Paul Russo, the CEO of KCB Group, and also, Honorable Speaker, another appointee to the Governing Council is Mr. Richard Etemesi. We all know Richard Etemesi for his expertise at the Standard Chartered Bank. You know, when Standard Chartered Bank started operations in Kenya and Africa, these are the people that drove this stream, Honorable Speaker. And I'm excited that as this Honorable House approved, we have a group of professionals, trained, experienced in terms of raising capital, in terms of raising private equity, and you're going to see the infrastructure fund grow to the 5 trillion shillings that we anticipate it to grow. So that, Honorable Speaker, this weekend, you and I, when we think about going to Nakuru, and especially this being an Easter weekend, it's going to be a nightmare. We are likely to either spend the whole night or the whole day on the road, whether going to our constituents coming back. So these funds are going out to make the Rironi Mau summits, the SGR, all the way to Kisumu and Kampala, and all the other infrastructure envisioned by the Infrastructure Fund, Honorable Speaker, to be developed. Most importantly, Honorable Speaker, this also money puts this supplementary budget increases resource for capitation in our schools. Honorable Speaker, I was speaking with some of the principals in my constituency, and they're saying, for the first time, we've had money for capitation being sent on time. And I'm hoping that these additional resources are also going to account for, first of all, the increased number of students in our schools, and make sure that these funds is enough to fund our schools through this capitation and is also dispersed on time. Honorable Speaker, we are also looking at a crisis with higher education, because the amount of resources that we're able to allocate in the main budget was not sufficient to support our students in higher learning. But this supplementary budget, Honorable Speaker, is increasing resources for higher education loans fund that will ensure that our learners in higher education are well equipped to come and trained so they can come and run our economy, Honorable Speaker. Also notably is the allocation of resources for medical insurance for our teachers. You know, for a very long time, Honorable Speaker, our teachers have struggled with having insurance covers that are not well covered, that are not financed. But now with this supplementary budget, there's not going to be enough resources for the medical insurance of our teachers, Honorable Speaker. We also note the allocation of resources and the non-financial recommendations that has been made by both our report and the report that is adopted by the Budgets and Operation Committee for a single treasury account. Honorable Speaker, it is quite unfortunate that for a very long time, government has been borrowing its own money and paying interest on it. Because you'll find one MDA on this end is holding some funds in a fixed deposit account, or is holding some funds idle in one bank account, whereas we are borrowing to finance our budget, Honorable Speaker. So it is the banks that hold these deposits that have been selling, that has been buying the treasury bills and bonds. And that's why you saw for a very long time, interest rates for our treasury bills and bonds was going to as high as 17 and 80%. And that is why even banks had no business lending to private sector. Because by doing nothing, by just holding deposits they have for roads, for schools, for water, for irrigation, for energy, they were able to lend that money back to government at as high interest rates as 17 and 18%. And so the question is then, why do they have to come and look for you to loan you money? But once the government and National Treasury incorporated or implemented single treasury account, among other monetary and fiscal policy measures that the central bank has done, we have seen those interest rates go to as low as 9% and 10%. Because now there is no money that is available by these banks that belonging to government to lend as infrastructure, to lend in terms of treasury bills or treasury bonds, Honorable Speaker. Another recommendation that we've made, and I've seen this across our committee and across several committee reports, is that we are paying too much money for renting government buildings. Honorable Speaker, you'll be amazed at how much we spend in renting, in paying for rent in government buildings. One of the entities, Honorable Speaker, like for example, in our committee, we have the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics that was given 800 million shillings around 10 years ago that they put in a fixed deposit account. We have other money that was given to Kipra a few years ago that was being spent kept on a deposit account, whereas we are paying 100 million shillings to rent those office buildings. So what you have told these entities, consolidate your money, consolidate how much you're spending on rent, and buy your own building so that we can save on the rent that we are paying as a country, Honorable Speaker. Because it's the pigs in the logic, why you would pay rent for 100 million for 10 years, that is already 1 billion shillings of rent, and that building would have cost you, say, 500 million shillings to acquire. So we have told all government entities that are paying rent, consolidate your rent, have one big building that can host everyone in that building, Honorable Speaker, so that we can save money on rent, Honorable Speaker. And with those many remarks, I'll beg to support this particular report and congratulate my good brother, the Honorable Atandi, for being very accommodative, for reaching out to all the chairpersons and making sure that he has balanced the interests of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, this country is bigger than all of us. It is bigger than our constituencies. It's bigger than our counties. And you must make sure that development goes to every and single part of the Republic of Kenya. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Very well. Member for Mandera West, not in the House. Honorable Ridikiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support this report and congratulate the chairman and the entire Budget and Appropriation Committee for a balanced report. Madam Speaker, I represented the Committee on Housing, Urban Planning, and Public Works. And our report was adopted by this committee. Madam Speaker, housing is a very critical agenda in this country, and we asked for an additional 25 billion so that we can be able to fast-track the increasing number of projects that the government is undertaking. Madam Speaker, the issue of the public works, which has been struggling for quite some time, when we made our players to the committee, I am happy to report that our player was answered and this has been appropriated accordingly. Madam Speaker, this is not the only sector that is of concern to this country. Madam Speaker, the main issue today is the food security. And the food security, Madam Speaker, touches on things like water, fertilizer, farm input, etc. Madam Speaker, I am happy to see that the committee did consider very positively the requirement of anything that is going towards the agricultural sector. Madam Speaker, I remember we have just come from a dry season. Thank God that the rains have come, even if it has come with its consequences. But I'm happy to see that in terms of resource allocation, a lot of money has been put through this supplementary budget. Madam Speaker, it is very important for us, all of us, to realize that education is key to this country. We have heard and we have been challenged as a country and as a parliament that the money is drained, capitation is being drained, that there is no money to fund the university education, that there is no money to continue supporting the TVETs. But I'm happy to see that a lot of money now has been pumped to the education sector in the entirely. University education, the TVET, the basic education. More so, Madam Speaker, because of the new education system, which requires a lot of infrastructure. And I'm happy to note that the committee has really considered that positively, because in almost every school now, there are infrastructure support that the government is doing. We are not yet done. We are not yet done, Madam Speaker. And I want to urge as we continue, because there are some critical infrastructure that is lacking in our schools, workshops, to go along with the JSS system. I'm happy to note that the thought process of the committee is gelling with the requirement that the Committee of Education presented. Madam Speaker, the other issue is the issue of the health sector. There is one person, I don't know what Martinez has gone into his mind, who has said that CHA is going to collapse in 6 months. I wish he's here to see what the National Assembly through the Budget Committee is doing to ensure more resources are availed to the sector. Madam Speaker, the payment of the pending bills that were carried forward from NHIF, I think that's a commendable job that the committee has done. Madam Speaker, the upgrading of level 5 hospitals, particularly the Meru National Meru level 5 hospital, which is being upgraded, is a beneficiary of what the government is doing, and we really need to support the government. Security is very critical. Madam Speaker, I come from an area that has been invaded by bandits, and this is very expensive. Our citizens are sleeping sleepless night. The bandits have been invading. They are completely weakening our economic base, meaning that we might not be able to survive for long, that area, which covers Boro constituency, Tigania West, Tigania East, again the Central, again the North. But now, with the increased allocation of money that will go towards purchase of equipment, security equipment, I think we'll see the subduing of the invasion of the budget. Madam Speaker, I have noted a few concerns, particularly on items 1335, that is the State Department of Youth Affairs and the Creative Economy. There is a bit of an increase. I think we need to be very careful, because this is one vote that is very impactful to our youth. I vote 1186, the State Department of Children Welfare, the State Department of Communication Technology and Digital Economy, and the State Department of Environment. The allocation has been affected negatively, and I think we need to be very careful on this. Where matters of creative economy and our youth, our children, and the environment are very critical to us as a country. So I think as we move forward to the main budget, I think we need to be careful that we don't continue weakening the operations of this State Department, because they are very critical to the growth of this nation. I thank you, Madam Speaker. I support, and once again I say thank you very much, the Committee of Budget, led by my very good friend, Atandi. We agreed when I made the presentation, we shall go and moot the problem of public works. I have seen you have done something good to that, but I think going forward, we need to team up so that we can see that department is very critical in terms of implementation of the housing sector. It needs a lot of support. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Cheng.
Omeli is complaining, but I've been sitting here since the motion was moved.
Do not waste your time answering Honorable Meli.
I've been
Just
sitting
make
here
your contribution.
before you were here. I've been sitting here since the PCS was here. I just didn't come now. Just being patient. Madam Speaker, it's very important to appreciate the role of the supplementary budget. Madam Speaker, after 7-8 months since the budget, the supplementary is meant to help us look at the efficiency, efficacy, the way in which the budget we pass has been implemented, so that we're able to make adjustments that would make the budget more useful to us as a country. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the new chairman of budget. sitting in that committee, Madam Chair, I've witnessed transparency, I've seen consultativeness, I've seen the desire to carry everyone along. Sitting there, I've seen my chair and members trying to accommodate every single chairperson. We send back some, we ask them to come back with proposals that were acceptable, Madam Speaker, and I believe that what is on the floor today is a product of proper consultations, accommodation where necessary, and I believe that it is for the good of the country. And second, on the onset of rains, emergencies coming up in the north, issues to do with EGP and low absorption of the budget, it was always important to ensure that we take into account these things and adjust the budget accordingly, Madam Speaker. And that's why in this supplementary, we made provisions for responding to emergencies because of the rains, emergencies that arise because of proper allocation for schools, for healthcare, Madam Speaker, for security, for ICT, and in the water and housing sectors. Madam Speaker, you saw a few days ago the PS Housing saying that they had been told there's no 25 billion shillings to continue the projects in the housing sector. This budget we are discussing this afternoon ensures that the housing sector has resources to ensure that money is paid to those who have done work, and what had been planned to be done is done. And I want to ask the responsible people in the housing department that there will be no excuse after this has been passed. What has been planned should be sorted out, and they should not take too long. They're taking too long with procurement. Projects that were planned last year, some of them 2023, are yet to be finalized. They are having a lot of back and forth in completing the processes that they're supposed to ensure that the money they have is used properly. Madam Speaker, one feature that I witnessed the whole week when we listened to the chairman of committees was the slow, in some cases, lack of absorption of the budget. This country cannot grow if you're not absorbing the budget. We cannot be told that the monies that are moving is monies for recurrent, monies for tea, monies for travel, monies for flying, but the monies for building infrastructure, monies for growing the economy is not being spent. It's important that the department is concerned because the government has decided that EGP is the way to go. Let's ensure that everyone has the capacity to behave in this and deal with this properly, Madam Speaker, and that's why I'm happy that there are efforts towards ensuring that everybody is carried along in knowing how the EGP works, both government and private sector, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, capacity of KRA is extremely key. It's just that we've had this song for too long. In the main budget, Madam Speaker, we gave the KRA IDF. We are now adding KRA another 17 billion. So we're going to ask KRA that we want to see results. We can't understand why we keep saying, oh, the cow that produces milk has to be given, enough Napier grass, and you give it Napier grass, but you don't see results every day. We need to go beyond every time. We are saying that we are below our targets, we are below our targets, unless the targets that KRA are giving us are unrealistic or unachievable. They should adjust according to that the country knows how to budget with how much will be raised at the end of the day, Madam Speaker. But with the kind of money that are being given now, 17 billion, Madam Speaker, in 3 months to build capacity, even if it's systems or IT, should ensure that by the time we are coming to the new financial year, KRA is well tooled to be able to do the things that it's supposed to do. But, Madam Speaker, I've had this for the last 3-4 years about the role of the Budget Committee in this process. Madam Speaker, the Budget Committee cannot just be sitting in committee to approve, to pass, to agree with what the chairman of committee has passed. No. The Budget Committee is supposed to have a bird's eye view of the economy, of the country. So we cannot have a situation where chairman come before the Budget Committee and expect that the Budget Committee will pass what they bring, even if it's wrong or even if it doesn't balance. This has to be allowed. This has to be, we have to agree that the Budget Committee isn't a rubber stamp. We are not a formality. We are put there under the law to ensure that the budgeting process is done in an efficient manner, in a manner that ensures that every sector of the economy is able to be provided for. I don't think it's right for chairmen of committees to be coming and telling us that we can't disagree with them or that we are interfering in their budget. If, for example, Madam Speaker, in the main budget, you've given out 2 billion, say, for example, for roads, and then in the supplementary letter, you want to take away all that money to something else. What did you budget for it in the first place? If you are like my friend, the chairman of the education committee, you made provisions for schools to be constructed. They are not being constructed. Now you are moving all that money away from there. Where were you? And that's why I believe, Madam Speaker, that the budget committee must be allowed to do its job. We should not be cajoled by chairmen of committees that, oh, you cannot move this, you cannot change this. That is our job. That's the job of the budget committee. And I want to ask the Honorable Chair Tandi, don't be bullied by anybody. Do your job the right way. We can't have a situation where chairs want to bully the budget committee in a manner that doesn't allow us to do our job well. Madam Speaker, I say this because I sit in that committee. I'm not...
What is out of order, member for Tinderet?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, is Honorable Chieng in order to say that chairs of committees who supports the Budget and Appropriation Committee are bullying the Budget and Appropriation Committee. Yet we actually offer a lot of support in all that we do as chairs. And in fact, we make their work easier by breaking down the issues in the department. So I think I should withdraw, Madam Speaker, what he's actually saying. We have never bullied, and we have been interrogating the budgets, and we have been very fair.
Honorable Chieng,
Madam Speaker,
kindly take note of the complementary role of the committee.
Madam Speaker, where I sit.
I am the vice chair of liaison committee, yes, and all chairs are pretty all important.
Madam Speaker, they can bully the chairman of the budget, but they can't bully me. They must stop bullying the budget committee. We are not bullying anybody. We must allow the budget committee to do its job. If you do a report, Honorable Meli, once you've done a report as a committee, you must allow the budget committee to interrogate that report. And where we have issues, you must allow us to raise those issues.
Honorable KJ.
That is the way it works.
Madam Speaker, I'm just keen to know if the Honorable Ochieng is in order to be addressing the chairperson directly, while our standing orders are very clear as to who he should be addressing.
I was actually almost saying that, I'm sorry for Honorable Meli.
Madam Speaker, I needed to say that Honorable Ochieng is on a very good trajectory. He's making a very good point, but he's making it to the wrong person, addressing it to the wrong individual. So, Madam Chair, I just needed to find out if Honorable Chieng, an experienced member of this House, is in order addressing the chairperson of education instead of the Speaker.
Address the Speaker, Honorable Chieng.
Madam Speaker, if I told address the chairman of the committee, I'm sorry. I was addressing the Speaker of this Assembly. Madam Speaker, I know I've touched a raw nerve, but I don't care. We must ensure that the rules that of this House are followed. We will not allow chairs to just do their things the way they want. Laws are there to be followed. Madam Speaker, and so I believe that what we brought to this House is balanced. We will pass it and request that this budget we're going to pass is implemented as passed. We don't want to where again in the next 1 or 2 months, we again come back here with another supplemental budget and doing what we are doing today, Madam Speaker. Let the departments concerned who have resources, be given resources, not come back to us with issues of no absorption, this was not passed. Let's implement the budget as passed so that this country can grow, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with those many remarks, I support and will support. Thank you.
Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, please, I require you to give Honorable Tanda assurance that I'm just doing my work as under Article 95, so I should not start having goosebumps when he sees me standing up, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, by law, by practice, we have always had supplementary budgets. But I remember, Honorable Speaker, when the current Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury sat with us here in this assembly, he had very dim views about bringing supplementary budgets. And he used to say, and I used to concur with him, that's a sign of poor planning and poor management of public resources. That may be as it is. We have it with us here. And I want to make a few observations. And one of the first observations, Honorable Speaker, that this supplementary budget increases the overall budget of the national government from almost 2.6 trillion to about 3 trillion. So in essence, we have an increase of close to 400 billion that has been increased in this budget. And Honorable Speaker, when you look at the items, I cannot be able to pick all of them, but allow me to select a few that normally raises a little bit of eyebrows that we need to interrogate as a country, as a house, and actually start wondering, is supplementary budget really necessary or not? Because, first of all, Honorable Speaker, there is an increase under Vote 1017. Under Vote 1017, State House Affairs, Honorable Speaker, there's an increase of 400 million development for acquisition of land for State Lodge Eldoret. Honorable Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, the State Lodge Eldoret has existed since I started knowing the state. I'm wondering what has arisen that requires a whopping 400 million to purchase land for State Lodge Eldoret. That I leave for the Kenyans to decide whether that's prudent use of public resources or not. Second, Honorable Speaker, there is Vote 10-1169 under Crop Development and Management. And this is a matter that has been alluded to much earlier. There is an increase of development of 158 million for development of aggregation centers. Again, it's a block figure, it's not segregated, it's not indicated which are those aggregation centers that are being developed. Honorable Speaker, it makes prudent sense at any given time, Honorable Speaker, that if any development, it must be itemized so that we know exactly where it's happening. Honorable Speaker, without that list of aggregation centers being developed, everybody's left to imagine that this is a way of getting public funds to go into private hands without having been accounted for. In any case, we need to know exactly where are these? Are they collocated in one area, or is it better, are they spread throughout the country? Honorable Speaker, I note, just like Honorable Speaker, what was so difficult in these aggregation centers in itemizing as they have done under Vote 10-1109, where they have actually said there is an increase of 80 million for development for National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority, pending bills and unpaid commitments for flood control, 50 million for West Kano dikes, and 30 million for River Nzoia, Budalangi dikes, which are of benefit to me as a neighbor, and that also benefit to people of Ugenya and people of Alego Songa at the same time. Honorable Speaker, we have another curious amount, and this relates to Kenya shillings 100 million under Vote 1066, primary education is another 10 million under Vote 1066, secondary education, 100 million for school, secondary school infrastructure and primary school infrastructure. Block figures, no itemation, no segregate, no stating which particular projects, and probably when the chair of education be given a chance to speak, will tell us where those funds are going, because we have asked these questions very many times, and the answer has not been forthcoming. Honorable Speaker, now we have Vote 2091, where there's an increase of 3 billion for Minet Limited for pending bills for teachers' medical cover. Honorable Speaker, this lends credence to what has been reported all over, that teachers have had no medical cover for all that period of time, and that whenever they have gone for any cover, they have been chased away. We too hope now this particular matter will be solved once and for all. Honorable Speaker, what is most scaring for many people in this country is what appears under Vote 1082. Vote 1082, that is general administration for reduction of 1 billion from the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. Honorable Speaker, we are being told that SHA and the entire public health framework or a universal health framework is working. Yet there is a whopping deduction of 1 billion from the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. When we were passing the SHA Act here, Honorable Speaker, we were made to believe that the SHA is far much better than NHIF, that is going to cover those universal health as well as critical health. Honorable Speaker, this supplementary budget, as it might be required by law or required by practice, has got so many issues that, honestly, Speaker, we hope discerning Kenyans will review it and pass their own verdict. Honorable Speaker, allow me now, Honorable Speaker, to turn to the elephant in the House, Article 223. Article 223. And when you look at the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, the wordings are explicitly clear. And the wordings read as follows, Honorable Speaker, for the benefit of the Kenyans. Where, subject to clauses 2 to 4, the national government may spend money that has not been appropriated if amount appropriated for any purpose under the Appropriation Act is insufficient or a need has arisen for expenditure for a purpose for which no amount has been appropriated by that act. I would have imagined, Honorable Speaker, in preparing this report, the committee would have actually justified that expenditure under Article 111, Article 223 of 101 billion. We would have hoped the report would have given us the emerging circumstances that necessitated the same. Honorable Speaker, to tell us without any justification that whatever was appropriated was not enough, without giving any justification, we feel, Honorable Speaker, that this is a matter that really requires interrogation. And Honorable Speaker, and we need to be here very clear, in the fourth schedule, Honorable Speaker, let me tell the country who are the beneficiaries of Article 223. 900 million to the Executive Office of the President. 600, actually, for the Executive Office of the President is actually 900 plus 900 plus 600, about 2.1 billion has been accorded there. Office of the Deputy President, 750 million. You wonder what activities they have been doing. And Honorable Speaker, these are not development, are recurrent expenditure. So it's possible the mandazis, we normally guess who goes to State House drink, the brown envelopes people come out swinging with, is in that matter. State House, 4.5 billion that has been spent on State House and Article 223. You cannot tell any Kenyans that an emergency has arisen in State House to spend 4.5 billion on recurrent expenditure that was never contemplated. I sympathize with you, Honorable Tant, you are a good man, but just pray.
Your time is up. Honorable Elachi.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to support and to appreciate our Chair of Budget and the Budget Committee for the supplementary budget that is now here. Madam Speaker, I'll start with just asking myself a few questions, and especially if we really want to move as a country and do the right thing, I think then it is KRA to really reorganize itself completely. And Madam Speaker, if KRA would want to see some of these improvements, they have to agree for 10 years. You cannot tell me 10 years we've been waiting to digitize. You've had the money, you've had everything, each commissioner comes, but to date, KRA has completely, adamantly refused to ensure that you can reduce tax evasion and corruption, at least ensure fairness across the income groups as they go around, especially when they are penalizing. Make tax compliance simple, simplify the filing tax. Use mobile-friendly systems I mean, this is what we are just asking for. Provide clear guidance, in simple language, so that more people can comply voluntarily. Integrate KRA systems with banks, with mobile money, for us to move out of this cry everyone is really talking about. Mr. Speaker, I think the most important thing we need to appreciate in this budget, even as I question a few things, especially in terms of security operations, I'm happy that we have the 2 billion for compensation of victims, and I appreciate that, Mr. Speaker, so much. But then as you modernize the police, it is important for us also now to give them a good cover. Because, Mr. Speaker, our uniform officers are suffering out there with their families. You know, we don't need to lie. We need to rectify. Where it is wrong, let us say it is wrong. And we need to help the police now to have, they have shires, but let them have a cover. Just the way the teachers have a cover, just the way other institutions have the both covers. Let us give the police those two covers so that we don't find them very agitated and they are not speaking, but they will speak from others and they will tell us how they are suffering. So that thing, Mr. Speaker, the CS must deal with it. Mr. Speaker, you imagine IEBC, we are now giving them 2 billion shillings to settle legal pending bills. You know, as much as we are being very agitated here, it is not right that an institution of government so much sued until you want to pay them. We have to pay 2.9 billion legal pending bills. And when I look at the education sector, we also have at least the 3.88 billion to clear the outstanding university salaries. That is a plus to our chairman and the budget committee, because this was a CBA of 2017 to 2021. And some of these things, you realize, were supposed to be sorted out before we went to the elections of 2022, Mr. Speaker. So it is also very unfortunate sometimes when we find ourselves in this crisis. In the health sector, Mr. Speaker, we find ourselves with now 4 billion shillings to pay the defunct NHIF. But I'm hoping we shall pay. I'm hoping we will pay some of the hospitals the way they have been really pushing and asking. And now Parliament has put the money. Can the institutions that are supposed now to ensure pay this money, Mr. Let them not come here again and tell us another story. Mr. Speaker, we have the money for the roads. I see Nairobi there. I see the Kitale Mopas corridor. I see Dongo Kundu. You know, some of these things are things that were done even before we came to elections of 2022. And we can ask ourselves, we can scream, when we talk of the Dwake dams and all the dams people are talking, these are things that had money, but we mismanaged. Now we come and find ourselves fighting with the small budgets that we have to ensure that we pay. Mr. Speaker, what I will say here is that as much as we have done all this, let us agree that in the agricultural sector, food security, I see we have money for the sugar sector reforms, of which nearly 6 billion arises from the new sugar levy, which is yes. But can we also finish all these sugar challenges, the farmers, and ensure we have efficiency and also farmers to get good dividends in these T-zones, yet we cannot agree with Kenya Power, which is also a government institution? That is something we need to ask ourselves. Institution? That is something we need to ask ourselves. And we need to realign all these laws so that these fights over cables, I don't know what, the poles, all this is to serve Mwananchi. Unless Kenya Power wants to tell us they are not serving Mwananchi, they are serving some senior people somewhere. That one they need to tell us. But if you are just serving Mwananchi, That one they need to tell us. But if you are just serving Mwananchi, then we must not be fighting about why the small T-zones cannot put up their power stations and also just use the same leeway as Kenya Power. We have to ask that question. It is this House that need to resolve all these conflicts we have, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, in the social protection, I see we have 15 million for the state of gender and affirmative action. That one is okay to go for the 70th session of Commission on Status of Women. But now, Mr. Speaker, we have a program that the government has started on children and homes. And I know the government would wish to see our children homes, the children now getting foster parents or even going back to their families, but being supported there. But what I want to tell the government also, let us not get into any curse on how we handle these children. By the time this child was finding he or she in a children's home, it means there was a crisis. So let us manage that process in a very, very friendly way. But then, let us also remember, those who will not find their parents, let them remain in the homes they have been. Or, the homes that are doing well, you can bring in more children. And those that you feel are not doing right, you can then close them. But let's not just close them for the sake of closing. As I finalize, Mr. Speaker, the roads that we see right now, I want to tell Kura, and especially in Nairobi, Kura has been doing a lot of maintenance in many of the roads. The most sad part of all this maintenance, and if this is how we are going to spend money every time, it will be wrong. That you do repair, you give contractors, yes, I won't blame Kura, let me blame their contractors. They do the road 6 months, when the rain comes, the whole road is gone, Mr. Speaker. You spend millions and billions on it. Why can't we do roads mixing with cement then the way they are done in Europe on where we have the roads that need to be strong, like the road Baba did, Bagathi, we have never done any repairment. So why can't we just use that, the better expensive, but then stay for many years without repairing and potholes? With that, I support, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Elachi, I hope you will be hosting children from children's homes as you usually do during Easter. I hope you have the means to continue that legacy. The Honorable Gabriel Tongoyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support a very balanced and responsive and people-centered budget as presented by my very good friend and able chair. But Honorable Speaker, kindly allow me, before I support, I wanted the attention of the Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I support, I just want to challenge the aspersion being made by the Honorable Owundo, or Honorable Oundo, the Member of Parliament for Funyula, in regards to the 223 expenditure under the State House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to refer the House to what is 223, what actually the provision of 223. And I want to read, Honorable Speaker, in our Constitution, and it states, the amount appropriated for any purpose under the Appropriation Act is in the condition, the circumstances under which 2223 is provided for. Subject to the clause 2 and 4, the national government may spend money that has not been appropriated for this House, by this House rather, under these conditions or circumstances. A, if the amount appropriated for any purpose under the Appropriation Act is insufficient or a need as a reason for expenditure for a purpose which no amount has been appropriated by that act. What does this Honorable Speaker says? Honorable Speaker, it is clearly states that 223 can be appropriated in case of emergency and foreseen, but also if the amount that was appropriated by this House was never sufficient in the first place. And the MP for Funyula had talked about the 4 billion, which was spent by State House under 223. And I want to say that it was within the law. Honorable Speaker, as the chair that oversights the State House budget, and I'm proud you also sit in that committee, the State House, when they presented their estimate in this financial year, the requirement was 18 billion. And what was available was slightly, I think, 8-point-something billion. Actually, 50% of what was provided for. So for having an addition under 223 was within the law. So I just want to challenge that, Honorable Speaker. There is nothing wrong. It is within the provision of our Constitution. And having said this, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Administration and Internal Affairs, we all understand that we have a different president this time.
Yes.
There are lots of infrastructure developments. We have a president who is traveling across the country. Like when he was in Homa Bay, there is a new state lodge in Homa Bay. He's hosting people. Our state lodges, not just the State House in Nairobi, is very busy. I'm aware even today, maendeleo ya wanawake from across the country, including Homa Bay. And so, unlike before, Chair, you should not take a lot of time defending the current State House. In fact, it should be funded more.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
So continue.
And as a stout lawyer and a very senior member of this House, I don't want to say any further. And Honorable Speaker, for record, Honorable Bui Rosa is also a member of this committee. And she remembers very well that even the State House controller pleaded to the committee then, when they are doing their presentation, for additional resources, because what was appropriated and provided for was never enough. So this is Honorable Speaker. Now I go to my contribution, Honorable Speaker. From the very start, I want to really commend the good job done by the Committee on Budget and Appropriation, led by my very good friend Atandi, whom the Speaker is on record, having been said that he's actually the best speaker, the best chair of budget, and I can confirm so. He's very consultative, and actually, even in wherever there's some changes, he reaches out to the chairs, and I think that's supposed to be the spirit. Had me 1 minute, please.
No. You are just beginning.
Yes.
How many minutes?
The Speaker said you give me.
Huh?
I was trying to respond 15. The other one. Thank you, Speaker.
Yeah, so you have over 10 minutes to go.
Yes. One is enough for me. 2 minutes are enough for me. Honorable Speaker, I want to really commend and I want to say that this budget is so balanced, is responsible, and being people-centered. And I want to commend the additional done in the Ministry of, in the Vote of Administration and Internal Security, and more importantly on the modernization program. We all know that our police officers are really doing a good job, that managed to curb the insecurity and the issue of cattle rustling in Kerio Valley, in North Rift, but more still needed to be done along the Isiolo, the Meru, and they wanted the tool of service to be able to achieve their mandate. And we have in Lamu, Boni Forest, and I want to confirm to this House, we have very competent officers, if only they are well-resourced and given the equipment. Honorable Speaker, in the same, there is additional about 2 billion in support of the victim of post-election violence. This is living to the spirit where, of course, the Kenya Kwanza government want to show that the EPA security in addressing the country, which is well commendable. And as a pastoralist, there is some money allocated to address the issue of restocking program, to address the issue of drought mitigation. As we know, majority of farmers and pastoralists lost their livestock in the just ended drought. Honorable Speaker, the issue of water and road, I've seen enhanced increments, and I'm sure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to first and foremost say that as chairs of committees, I want to say we really compliment one another with the chair of Budget and Appropriation Committee. And more importantly, there are a number of issues that I want to laud the Chair and Appropriations Committee for the good work that he has done. One of the things, Honorable Chair, that the Budget and Appropriation Committee had need to be completed from the previous budgets. Honorable Speaker, in general terms, that what we need to know as the appropriating House of the Republic is to ensure that most of the programs, the big programs like Dongo Kundu, the big roads that are going on, the Mau Mau roads, are actually being factored in this budget. These are the programs that were inherited from the previous administrations. A number of programs that this administration inherited is supposed to clear them. And I want to laud the Chair of Budget and Appropriation Committee for his consultancies, for consulting, and more importantly, making sure that we finish them. In the State Department for University and TVETs, most of the TVETs institutions have been allocated resources to complete them. Institutions have been allocated resources to complete them. More importantly, those ones which had 60, 70%, until 90%, until 90% completion. A number of them which had pending bills have also been allocated. Appropriation budgets in the coming years are going to go that particular direction. Will not see any of what we call white elephants or stalled projects. Two, Honorable Speaker, we have very pertinent programs that have actually been taken care of, especially student financing. Higher Education Loans Board have gotten 15 billion shillings on student loans. TVETs have also gotten financing. Higher Education Loans Board have gotten 15 billion shillings on student loans. TVETs have also gotten financing, and they have in effect make sure scholarships and capitation. Our universities now will not be having a lot of issues. In fact, we'll want to see all students in the halls of lecture halls, and they'll now be out there carrying out their practicums. Honorable Speaker, actually pending, almost the last phase, that has been provided for. We also have the issue of teachers' medical cover, which was owed. Honorable Undo did ask, how then are we paying to teachers who have even who went for treatment, and the insurer has not been paid that amount of money. So it is very important that this House notes that the Aeon minute that was which contract ended had a big pending bill, and they had to be paid, and they had to actually be paid for services that had been rendered. Money has also been paid to SHA, that is for teachers, and this is an assurance that what we planned for as Kenya Kwanza government is actually, we are actually doing it to the latter. In fact, a number of programs that was set aside, for example, examination fees has been paid to the examination council. That means this year's exam is going on well. All the programs that have been channeled, especially on CBE, the competency-based education, all this has been provided, Honorable Speaker. In fact, capitation to schools and grants from donors, which is amounting to almost 100 billion, had no quality assurance and standards money for monitoring. In fact, you'll realize that government has every other time been giving out resources to institutions, and no one was going to find out what was going on. And I want to thank the Budget and Appropriation Committee for appropriating 600 million for that, and 200 million for capacity building and engaging stakeholders, so that the understanding of CBE across all sectors of this country is actually, the capacity building and dialogues are going to go across in all counties. Honorable Speaker, this particular budget has spoken mainly, even up to salary increases, salary for the police officers. The farmers have gotten a big share, especially on subsidized fertilizer. And this one has been seen by the cost of food. And when the cost of food has gone down, in effect, it spurs growth. Honorable Speaker, nations that import food nations that rely on foreign importation of food will lose their foreign incomes. And in fact, you'll realize that subsidized fertilizer is encouraging. We'll see all our farmers, the production of maize will be very high, tea production, sugarcane production, and in fact, the 6 billion given to sugarcane reforms. I come from sugarcane growing areas, Honorable Speaker. And as I speak, our farmers are very happy. And I want to thank Honorable Atandi and the committee that now every 2 weeks, sugarcane farmers are being paid. The reforms are paying out. Homes are getting money every other 2 weeks, and therefore, the tea programs I'm seeing is also is actually on the way. And I want to ask that when that particular program comes on, I've seen there is some allocation, but when the programs comes on, Honorable Speaker, and I want to tell the House, we need to support them because the tea sector, like coffee and sugar, is the backbone of this country. It is where over 20 million families or people rely on. If we are going to make sure that we give the farmer money like the way we are doing in sugar, like in tea and in coffee, then surely we have pesa mfukoni the way we said. We are going to ensure that all our farmers and everyone else is going to have that. On infrastructure, Honorable Speaker, the supplementary budget has spoken to a lot of projects, and I want to laud the Budget and Appropriation Committee for the good work done. I've seen the projects that are supposed to be completed, the many highways that we are building, the infrastructure that we have in housing, the energy sector. You know very well that we have a lot of outages, power outages, especially in the evening, which is actually causing a problem to our industrial growth, and more importantly, to even the manufacturing sector. If we don't invest in energy, we are not going to attain where we are going to be the first world country. So this huge investment in energy sector is very paramount and very important for most of the small-scale industries, the large-scale industries, and more importantly, even the ICT sector rely heavily on energy. And by so doing, Honorable Speaker, the Chair Budget and Appropriation Committee has put the right money, has put money enough to make sure that this country moves forward and make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that this budget and appropriation and this supplementary budget was well done. It was well done because of consultation. It was well done because of teamwork. It was well done because of the input of the departmental committees. And it was well done because all the members involved spoke in unison on the direction that we are taking. And with that, I thank you and I support.
The Honorable Rosa Buyu on a special request.
Mr. Speaker, I came before the member who's complaining, but I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the thing that stands out most for me is the 2 billion that's been allocated for compensation for victims. Mr. Speaker, my late party leader, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, fought for that, and that was one of the last things that he was clinging to, because he knew that many Kenyans had lost their lives, and many Kenyans had suffered, and those Kenyans needed to be compensated. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that 2 billion has been set aside for that compensation. Mr. Speaker, however, as a staunch member of the broad-based government, I don't feel too happy this evening. Mr. Speaker, it is true that the Budget Committee has the overall and the final mandate to present the budget to the House. But, Mr. Speaker, we can't understate the role of the committees, the various departmental committees, in informing the Budget Committee. Mr. Speaker, the departmental committees are the ones who interrogate and engage with the SAGAs and the different state departments
to know whether the budget that's in question, the main budget that's in question, is performing well or underperforming, and if so, why, and what therefore can be done. And that is then why we have the supplementary opportunity for supplementary estimate, Mr. Speaker. But when you look at this, and I want to support the Honorable Speaker who spoke first, Honorable Zengu, I sit in the Committee of Blue Economy like him. Mr. Speaker, blue economy deals with water, commodity of water, which in many parts of this country is scarce, and which is something, a commodity that all human beings need, Mr. Speaker. And we know that water is still scarce in the major part of this country. Mr. Speaker, so what the committee does is interrogates, Mr. Speaker, I request, Mr. Speaker, could you kindly protect me from my neighbor? He's consulting a little loudly, and I'm not able to concentrate, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Ignore his consultations and address the nation.
So, Mr. Speaker, what the Committee of Blue Economy does is look at how well the main budget has performed. And in cases where there is great need for water, the committee then looks at the available budget in different items and whether it is consumed or whether it is well utilized or whether it's surplus, and the committee therefore directs it to other areas that there is need. But, Mr. Speaker, what we see here is that by and large, the recommendation of the committee has been ignored. Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly annoyed and unhappy with one project. If you look at Northern Waterworks, Mr. Speaker, the approved estimates for 2025-2026 was 213 million. Additional allocation of 400 million has been given to it in this supplementary estimate number 1, giving it a total budget of 613 million, just 2 months before we begin talking about the main budget. Mr. Speaker, when we interrogated the PS for water, he categorically told us that this project was complete. And so our question was, what was the 613 million for if it was a complete project? Why must we give it another 400 to add to the 200 that it already had, so that it's 613 for a project that was already complete? So what the committee did was left it with 200 million, but reallocated the rest of the money to other needy areas where projects had been started but had not been completed. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you, the Northern Water has a pending bill of 1.5 billion. And we've heard what the chair of budgets has said, that pending bill is an issue, and as much as possible, supplementary budget should address the issue of pending bills. Mr. Speaker, why can that money be put into payment of pending bills to reduce it instead of leaving it for a project that was already completed? Mr. Speaker, it is true when the previous speakers have actually pointed out that what supplementary estimate is supposed to do is to actually close gaps and to see where there's need and put in money if that need might have been ignored. But what we are seeing in practice is totally different. Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to address myself to 223. I also sit in the Committee of Security, and I'm going to say exactly what I said during the proceedings of the committee. Mr. Speaker, 223 is being misused. 223 is supposed to be an use on emergency, an unforeseen emergency that has occurred. That means is when you come up with the budget, whether you give that whether you give that department money or not, they will use department money or not. They will use 223 to get the money they asked for, but in 223 to get the money they asked for, but did not get in a budget. And then the department not get in a budget. And then the department still come back to look for money in the supplementary. So what are we budgeting for, Mr. Speaker? What is the role of budgeting? Mr. Speaker, 223 is being misused. And you cannot tell me that you will use 2 to 3 so that you make visits or you have functions. That is not emergency. That is not emergency, especially at a time when the country is grappling with difficult economic times. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans must see prudent use of their money. Because when you tell me you draw from 2 to 3, money. Because when you tell me you draw from 2 to 3 for items that can wait, in fact, in some instances, the only reason that I know is that because 2 to 3, you don't have to ask anybody for permission. You should only come for approval after the fact, after we've used the money. Mr. Speaker, my humble advice to Parliament is that we must be serious on 2 to 3. And we must make sure that nobody takes advantage of that 2 to 3 because otherwise it renders our work useless. And it makes budgeting wise, it renders our work useless. And it makes budgeting useless. Mr. Speaker, as much as I sound harsh, I want to congratulate the chairperson of budgeting for his accessibility. Because when you call him, or you look for him, or you ask him, or you make queries, he's open to listening to your queries and to listening to you. The only problem, Mr. Speaker, is that it might not find, what you ask for might not find its space here, because 2 to 3 has swallowed it all. Or it might not find its space here, because new projects that are not so relevant to the people is included in this budget. Mr. Speaker, I will talk about those new projects because when you look at irrigation and you look at water, there's 8 billion that's been put for new projects, when old projects or projects that are already in operation are not being completed. But we are allocating another 8 billion for new projects. As I close, I'd like to request for prudence. At a time when there's no money, whatever little money there is must give Kenyans their worth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Makali Mulu, because of rank. Yeah, before I come back to the chairs. And the chairs, yes, Honorable Makali Mulu, proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Why don't we avoid points of order?
Mr. Speaker, is the Honorable Magali Mulu in order to say that he is frustrated member of this House when he is a member of Budget Committee, Honorable Speaker? I appeared before him and the Honorable attended when he has not presented a dissenting report to this, or minority report to this budget. Mr. Speaker, it is
where we have added the figures, the increment in terms of supplementary budget, Honorable Speaker, is members 363 billion. That's what we have added in this supplementary budget 1. Now, out of this 363, they're saying, while the CS Finance might be telling us that we are likely, domestic borrowing now is becoming easier because the interest rates are coming down, and most of the banks are very liquid, so that they can now buy our treasury bills and bonds. Honorable members, this week, plan. And by not planning, you know what we are doing. Honorable members, Kenya is at the cliff in terms of matters public debt. We almost devoted, and we're almost in the country of the other 6. We have not done it yet. But I'm telling you, if you continue this trend, don't be surprised. And you are being given a choice to choose between buying land and buying a machine to treat your mother. Which one would you buy first? These are the issues, Honorable Speaker. We have nothing against the government. We are just saying as Kenyans, can we apply our resources in the right? And if we do that, gentlemen, at times, we do our voting here through yes or no. And we know democracy demands that majority have their way, minority will be listened to, and you end your story there. But even as you do the majority and the minority, honorable members, know that Kenyans are watching. We may not be able to get it through, but Kenyans now are more smart to look at this budget and say, there are things we have done better.
In the last parliament and even in this parliament, the CEOs, they were saying this is what they submitted and this is what came out. It was different. So they went out to harmonize. We agreed as a committee.
Cut short the chair, because I believe he's speaking from a point of knowledge, but it would benefit the House if we would get case examples and kickbacks from projects. They do not want to allocate money to projects that have been completed because probably they had gotten kickbacks before. And they want new projects that will give them kickbacks. And let us not bury our heads under the sand.
Yeah, so...
Tomorrow, before we finish with the appropriation bill.
No, he will go on record now.
Yes, he must give us specific examples so
if
that we do not just cast aspersions on people in offices who are not here to defend themselves.
Majority Leader, you've made your point. Honorable
That is not unanswered. So, Honorable Speaker, that's why I'm saying there is a problem in Treasury. The Treasury cannot appropriate. The Treasury, once they have given us a ceiling, and the ministry they have worked on their budgets within the ceiling, the Treasury has no business to give us new projects or even to allocate any money to any especially in supplementary. If there is new money, Honorable Speaker, this House amendment should be brought to this House or to the committee to be scrutinized. Yes.
are you done?
No, there is a point of